Good morning, and welcome to Mornings with Nate. In our broadcast, we encourage audience participation. So for those of you who are not already on the We page, many of you come in through pages that I'm affiliated with, and those pages get the broadcast. But we encourage audience participation. And although you can text me comments from any page and I'll see it, if you would like to join the broadcast, I'd appreciate it if you come over to the We page and you find that page, if it just doesn't come up, by doing a Facebook search for the We, THEWE, not two E's, WE123. So that is the We 123, and you'll find the page. And there's a link on the top of that on that page at the top of the post that I pinned to the top of my post. And if you click on that link, then you can join the broadcast. And we encourage that because this is a two-way talk kind of a show. And there are only three simple rules that you hear me always talk about. If you join the broadcast, you can't talk about any crazy terrorism stuff because that's not what we're into. And secondly, if I see you in the green room, because what happens when you click on that link, you go into my green room and then I see you. But if you're in the green room giving me the finger or any kind of other obnoxious gesture, you're not very likely to get into the broadcast because when I elevate you to the broadcast, the screen splits and it's me and you talking. So not likely to do that. And the third is you can't be doing any pornography or anything like that, not directly. I'll see you in the green room and may well watch you for a little while. I'm joking. I always joke about that. But I certainly won't elevate you to the broadcast because that's not what the show is all about. So if barring those three things, for the most part, unless we come up with something new, I'd love to talk to you and just hear what's happening in your life. It's I always kind of talk a little bit about kind of what happened since the last broadcast yesterday. It's interesting. My day is kind of routine in the sense that I work some fairly long days. I get up in the morning, work some fairly long days in order to get to the show here. Many of you have heard me say I get up at about 3:15. A culturally conscious narrative with Mr. Derek Burnett. And I guess Derek and I left here at about 8 o'clock last night. So you figure if I got home at 9 and sleep by 9:30, getting up at about 3:15, that's around 6 hours approximately. I actually got up a little earlier. Sometimes when you got to get up early, you wake up in anticipation of getting up, and then you got to get yourself back to sleep. And hey, we got my man Scrib today, Arthur Scribner. He is a famous music producer. And he is a person who is the top guy in demand by all the bands, and he travels all over the country. I'm glad that he's taken a moment to come. And hey, Scrib, it was good to see you, and good to see you out there online. And I certainly follow all your posts and look forward to knowing where you are in the country. And the next time you go to one of the Waffle Houses. Brian Chapman's also out there. Brian, great. Glad to have you watching. And of course, Mr. Earl Bravo is out there. Earl does something that he tells me that I recommend that everybody do. That is set your clock for 6 o'clock. And when it goes off, immediately turn on Nate. Mornings with Nate and get your morning dose of what's happening in the world, at least from my perspective, and have an opportunity to share what you think ought to be happening in the world or what you think of what's happening in the world. Because again, you can join this broadcast. Again, all you have to do is click on the link. If I'll bring you in, the screen will split and thousands of people all over the country, all over the world. As you know, we had people yesterday, one of my friends from Africa who had been interviewed previously, he came on board and he said he's in the house from Nigeria. So all folks from all over the world come into the broadcast and you will be right here with me and we'll talk for a little while about the issues of the day. So please join us. I always talk a little bit again about how just getting started in the mornings is really something. There's always a little something, and I've changed my routine a little bit. Many of you know because I'm on the road so early to get here, very few places are open. and I started off going to this diner. And that was 24/7. And it was great because the people got to know me and everything. But it really meant that I had to drive past here to get there and then come and then double back. But yesterday, for you, I found my first 24/7 McDonald's, and it was great. But so far, it seems like each day it's a little bit of an issue, with something. Thank you, Mr. Earl. He's telling me to update the sign that the show has started. Thank you. I'm going to hide the sign. Okay. That's how it is when you're into it. You start to get into it and then you forget, wow, I mean, you should see it. I got 3 computers, all with pictures of me broadcasting in different places. And I didn't see that sign still up. Hey, that's it. Live broadcast. And when you get into it, I was on a roll there a little bit. And kind of forgot that I hadn't taken that graphic off. But thank you, Mr. Earl, for doing that, for letting me know I got that message right away. And as you see, I've taken care of it. Thanks. Let me create some other graphics, throw them on there. But so I stopped by the 24/7 McDonald's yesterday and kind of forgot my sandwich. And so I had to make the U-turn and come back. Today, it was going pretty smoothly. I actually was a little early for some reason. I don't know why, but I was kind of moving maybe a little faster around the house, getting myself together. Although, getting contacts in and all that, there's a little issue. But still, for some reason, I was running a little early. And I get to the McDonald's, and that's cool too. Now that I know they exist, they didn't have many lights on at all, but I knew they were open. So stopped there, got my sandwich, a little iced tea. And I get here, I'm going to try to wolf a little down before I start the broadcast and kind of have a little energy to kind of bring the energy to the show. And I take a little swig of my tea, and it's unsweetened. She gave me the unsweetened tea. And quite frankly, I didn't really feel like going in here in the kitchen and packet after packet. I got my routine. So next, I'm going to try again on Monday. And hopefully things will go 100% smoothly. First time I didn't get my sandwich. Second time my tea is unsweetened. It wasn't like that at the diner. They were perfect. But it certainly was a time saver. There I was, zooming right to the show. I didn't have to kind of go and come back. So that was fantastic. A lot, what I try to do, as you all know, is each morning I scan all the newspapers and I scan for news stories that I think are worthy of bringing to your attention. Occasionally we'll have guests that I'll bring in, and we'll talk to some of those guests, and we've got some people lined up. There may be some people pop in today, but I've kind of in the guest world, you see them when you see them. You may think you have a guest lined up, but hey, you see them when you see them. And that's unfortunately, it's not unfortunately, it's the way it is. Now, if I was Good Morning America, or if I was the Today Show, it wouldn't be like that. But one day, but, I'm joking. All my folks are good people, but sometimes I've got West Coast people. And I was talking to a West Coast person this morning, actually, which is why I'm surprised I was actually running early, because I was instant messaging for 3 or so in the morning with one of my potential guests who reminded me that they are 3 hours earlier on the West Coast. So this is a 6 to 9 show. That means they've got to come on at like 3 in the morning. And we were joking because, of course, I'm just getting up at that time and they're just going to sleep. So we'll see. Some of my West Coast friends, they may so well pop in, and we'll do that. But we certainly have a number of guests lined up for next week, and you're really going to enjoy that. But I'm hesitant to announce their names because you see them when you see them. Although there's one that I'm absolutely sure will be out here tonight on Chapman Means Business, because, we have the morning show, which is Mornings with Nate Chapman, or Mornings with Nate. And we have the evening show, which Chapman Means Business. And we have a special show that we're launching today. It'll actually be the first day, because I kind of respond to you. I respond to the people. And the people have said they'd like to hear me talk more about investments and Wall Street and all that because of my background. And we've got a couple things that we're putting together that are going to do that. We start off, though, with this new show called Money Masters with Nate Chapman. It's kind of a little bit of a throw off on the old show that we used to have, that not we as in me, but they used to have called the Lou Rukeyser Wall Street Week, and where Lou Rukeyser used to bring in a panel and they talk about the market and what happened during the week. We're going to evolve Money Masters with Nate Chapman into the same kind of format. We're starting with one person and then we're going to probably evolve it into more people. Some may well be standard, some just fresh people each time to talk about their view of the market. The person who I'm pretty sure it's going to be here at 4:30. Show launches at 4:30 this evening after the market closes, is Mr. Maceo Sloan. Maceo is a fantastic entrepreneur. He's one of the past money masters, and I mean past in the sense of great, not past just in the past, past master. Money master. That's probably more accurate. And he's going to be on the show. He's got an extensive resume in the investment business, built a major firm, sold it, and is now the chief of the investment committee for TIAA-CREF, the major insurance company. So he's overseeing billions of dollars in that position. And he's going to come and talk a little bit in general, and you'll, I'm sure, enjoy him. So, we have that Money Masters with Nate Chapman kicking off at 4:30. Then I'll kick off probably Chapman Means Business right after that. We've got some other things that next week that if you stay on, you're going to be pretty interested in seeing, because we're stepping up our game a little bit. I always like to have the map behind me, because if you look at our website, which is under development, the website is thewe.world, and it's under development. There's stuff that we're doing on the website to bring it up to speed and all that kind of good stuff. We're actually going to be redoing the Facebook page a little bit, change some changes there to upgrade and kind of up our game a little bit on the whole how we present and how we market as well. So we're going to be doing some other things, Lord willing. Next week, I'm going to experiment again, because, so much of this is experimentation, because you never know until you go. It's I could tell you so many backroom stories of what it takes to make a real professional live stream, including that graphic. The making that graphic, to putting it up there, and then forgetting it was there. So much stuff that happens, within the live stream world. But live stream is so incredible, and one of the techniques that many people use on the news that you see is this whole thing called green screen. And I've been experimenting with that way before we even started the show and started what we're doing with the We. And now it's coming to the point where it's nearly perfected. I shouldn't say perfected. Perfected is too strong a word. I would say it's coming to the point where I'm ready to try it out live. That's probably more accurate. Willing to try it out live. So if everything goes well, next week you'll see some of that. So you may not see the map next week. You may see something that makes me appear that I'm sitting in a room, or that I'm somewhere on the beach. Who knows what backgrounds were put up there to show, with a little custom emblem sitting over in the corner, kind of way they do it on the news. And we'll still do. And the other thing is that by integrating, we'll still be able to do the split screen technology, which I really like. So, for instance, Scrib, if you wanted to come on with me and tell me what part of the country you're in and kind of what concert you're working with today, just go to that page, the We 123, click on that link. You have to download a little app, and then from there, you would, come live, and then we would talk about that. There's another way, because we bring together different kinds of software and all different kinds of cameras. And you always hear me talk about that the show must go on, because there's sometimes some tech stuff happen beyond your control. You can't really broadcast, the way you'd like to, the way I normally do every day when everything's cooking and everything's going right. So, we've got Jennifer Laughlin out there. Jennifer, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on board. Appreciate that. We're going to experiment with it. We're going to launch it, see how it goes, and then we'll kind of tweak it. The whole green screen thing. I'm looking, pretty forward to doing that, because I've been wanting to do it for some time. Some of you who see the larger set can see, like, there's this green screen over here that covers the wall. We'll be using that and some other things to kind of take our show to the next level. So I'm kind of excited about that. I experimented with it last night and went very well. So we'll be trying to make that happen. And part of it is really talking to you all out there live stream like the show about some of the issues and all of how you kind of do these things and make them happen. Custom graphics and custom logos and all the other kind of things that are out there. Proper lighting, overhead lighting, facial lighting. So it's a lot of issues with it. So. But for those of you who've watched the evolution of the show, that is kind of the next thing. Today, you see me in my real office, in my real studio, with the real map behind me. Next week, I could be sitting in Russia with the Moscow behind me or something, some kind of different background. It won't be that. I'm just, for example. But so we'll be stepping up our game in that way and other ways as well, as far as how we, as I mentioned, employ the split screen technology and bringing people on board. We probably will also give you a phone number, looking at that so you can call in as well as click in, stuff like that. So stepping up our game. Just to talk a little bit about the news of the day, the big news is that apparently back on June 2017, Trump had ordered his White House counsel to fire Mueller. Wow. And the way that they found that out, I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Send me a comment or come on the show and just correct me if I'm wrong. Mueller has been interviewing people, White House staff people, and that's how it came out, that Trump had actually ordered the White House counsel to fire Mueller. And, of course, Trump's response to that is fake news. But it seems like it's true news. And the reason why it didn't happen is that the White House counsel at that time said rather than take that order from the President of the United States, he would resign. He said that he strongly advised the president not to make that move. He thought the effect would be catastrophic for his presidency and said, don't do it. But if you are going to do it, if you're going to move forward, it won't be me. Because I'm going to resign. This is not worth me going through the hassle of everything that will follow you firing a guy who is doing an investigation of you and appointed special counsel by the Attorney General. This job just ain't worth it. So I'll be out of here. And it made Trump kind of sit back a little bit and think about it. Well, that could be very bad. If my lawyer quits, it's one thing when I fire my lawyer. But when my lawyer fires me because of something that I've done, because lawyers go into that CYA, you all know what that stands for, mode. And this is like a CYA moment. You want me to fire Mueller, me. Why don't you pick up the phone and fire him? You can talk. You pick up the phone and fire him if you want him fired. Why must I do it? No. I was born at night, but not last night. I think if you want to proceed forward, okay, you do what you think is right, do what you feel. But if you're going to proceed forward, I got to go. I'm going to resign. And so apparently it was one of those eureka moments, one of those idea moments where Trump just paused for a second and thought that maybe this isn't such a bad idea. Forget I said that, forget I said that. Let's go back. Let's rewind here, but next 15 seconds, like you can on some of these videos and all, like on Netflix, you can go back 15 seconds. Let's go back 15 seconds on that. And just, we're going to kind of delete that section and just act like I didn't say it. We're going to move on. No, I never once thought about firing Mueller and it never crossed my mind. And let's move on. So, that would have been fine. I mean, here it is now, in 2018, and it didn't seem like they kept the news too long. I mean, he tells the guy in June 2017, 6 months later, it's out, on the front page of the newspaper. With staff like that, who needs enemies? I'm sure that's how Trump feels. But at the same time, it just speaks to the situation. I don't know how many people who are charged in a crime would like to fire the prosecutor who is, and Trump's not charged, but being investigated by a crime, would like to fire the guy who was investigating him. Now, it's not a good look, if nothing else. I mean, it's not a good look. If you have nothing to hide, if there's no reason for you to worry about it, let the guy do his thing. and then come out later and talk about that he was unbiased. And it's interesting. All of the reasons why, if you read the paper, why Trump is saying that Mueller is biased. Apparently Mueller went to some golf course that Trump has his name on. Trump doesn't own these things. He just gives them the name and hit the panache and brand of the Trump name. People say, "Oh, I want to be associated with that. That's the way I roll." It's kind of like Rolls Royce or a Bentley. I mean, these things have a certain image, and Trump has kind of cultivated those images. Chapman. Oh, did I slip that in? Okay. Well. So he cultivated a certain image of power and being exclusive and all of that kind of stuff, and people want to be associated with that. So apparently Mueller went to this golf course and had some problem over the fees he was charged. He's a member of this course, and there was some issue over the fees. And he got mad about it, and he said, well, if you guys are going to do me like this on these fees, I'm going to resign my club membership. And did it. Whatever the issue was, he was so upset about the whole issue with the fees in the golf course. He resigned. Trump says that makes him biased. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like me because I had my name on that golf course. And that is number one evidence as to why he should not be investigating me, because he's mad with me about those fees. And he's going to put me in jail forever because he paid a couple bucks extra or whatever it was on those fees, more than he thought he should. And that's outrageous. Now, I can see if Trump was saying, Trump has obviously, been around. And if Trump had some knowledge of Mueller's wife, girlfriend, or something like that beyond, what a common man might, now I could see Mueller being a little biased with him over that. But because, I paid a couple of extra bucks at the golf course and I was upset that day and I resigned. If you guys don't do me right on these fees, I'm going to take my membership somewhere else. What does that have to do with Trump? It's not like you charged me. I mean, I'm sure if you were there, you might have pulled the money out your pocket and just paid it and just settled the whole thing. Why should I be mad at you or that? I mean, so much so that I'm going to put you in jail and break you down from being president of the United States, bring down the White House and all, owe some fees at the golf club. Well, it's interesting kind of stuff. It's interesting for us to talk about, but no, I don't think so. I mean, I just can't see that as being reason to say, go fire Mueller, fire that Mueller, Mueller, whatever you want to call it. Fire that guy, and so before he gets me, for them fees, can somebody reimburse him for me so he won't be mad at me? It's just kind of ridiculous. But that's what passes for evidence these days. And that's the kind of stuff. I have no special insight. I read that stuff in the paper. I'm going through the news and I'm reading that stuff. And I just can't believe it. I mean, what if I was charged and I'm standing before the judge or the prosecutor or something like that. And I say to the judge that, this guy, he doesn't like me because he tried to get on the broadcast and he couldn't get on the broadcast and it caused him some money with his cell phone and he doesn't like me because of that. I mean, just kind of, I just can't see it. What do you think out there? I mean, you think that's strong evidence? You think that Mueller or someone might carry a grudge so far to make them bias against the president of the United States? Against Trump in particular? And then there was the other thing that was listed. Apparently, one of the law firms that Trump has is his defense law firm. They're saying that Mueller attempted to get a job back in the day at this firm, and it didn't work out for him for whatever reason. And because of that, because he tried to get a job at a law firm which represents Trump now, and I'm sure this law firm has thousands of accounts, thousands of clients. That was one more reason why he was biased against Trump. Now, I don't think so. I don't think so. But, you see these little things, and it's almost like we're going to throw this out, we're going to throw that out, and we're going to see what the public kind of says, yeah, I can see that one. And we're going to go with that one. because we're going to not let this guy, continue forward. And I understand Trump. I understand, what he's going through. It just, when they used to have this saying, you ever look at all those gangster movies in the old days? Because Trump is kind of straight up gangster. When you look at it, I mean, you may not like it, and there's certainly things I disagree with, but I understand it. I grew up, as many of you know, I grew up in Baltimore. Some of you have seen The Wire, although that is not typical Baltimore, by the way. For those of you around the country seen The Wire, you think, oh, Baltimore's like The Wire. There's a part of it that's like The Wire. There's The Wire, but that's not the majority of it. And I mean, like that part that's The Wire, maybe like 5% or less of what Baltimore's all about, but it's given us a national reputation. But that is not to say we don't understand gangster when we see it. The old saying. And Scrib, you're from the village. I see you out there. He's leaked the. What do you think about? I could say if Trump was from Emerson Village, it would go something like this. Trump, Mueller's trying to investigate you, and what do you think we should do? Well, I'm gonna tell you, son. He either gonna get down or he gonna lay down. So speak to him. That's how they used to say it. Speak to him. If he's willing to work with us, fine. Otherwise, he got to go. He's gonna get down. He's gonna work with us. He's gonna lay down. That's how it's gonna go. Trump, I can imagine Trump going gangster like that in his White House. There's people, Trump, Mueller. Hey, I'm Donald Trump, President of the United States. Now, what you going to do about this investigation? Because I'm going to tell you right now, either you're going to get down, kind of make this thing go away, or you're going to lay down. I'm going to lay you out. That's straight up gangster. So, but of course, Trump doesn't talk that way. He's not from Emerson Village. He doesn't have the benefit of the lingo, from a rough neighborhood. So, see if you can work something out with him. And, otherwise he may have to be terminated. You may have to make some adjustments. That's how we say it down there. I evolved to the corporate world. We don't say those kind of things in the corporate world. That's how we put it when we're going to fire someone. We don't even say that word. We don't say terminate. We speak to someone and we just kind of say, if things don't work out with Mueller, we may have to make some adjustments. And that's the same thing as the gangster. And it's the same thing as saying we're going to fire him. But in corporate lingo, that's the same thing. We may have to make some adjustments. But the whole perception of it, the whole thing that I am so powerful that even those who investigate me, wherever they may be, I'll just fire them. And you know what? I'll give immunity to everybody, including me. So, this is not going to go anywhere. Because I have the power to grant immunity, and I will do it to keep from going to jail. Or I will cut a deal with Mike Pence that I will not run for re-election. He will become the president, and I can go back to making huge sums of money. But to spare the country, the way that Gerald Ford said with Nixon, to spare the country, the investigation, I'm going to pardon President Trump for whatever and any of his people, so we can just move on. How many people believe that would happen or never happen? I believe it would happen. Personally. I mean, look at all that's happened already. Plus, the man is 71 years old. He doesn't want to go to jail. Hey, that's like a death sentence. How long is a man, statistically supposed to live? If he gets a stiff sentence, that's it. He's going to, and before all that happens, everybody gets fired. Everybody gets pardoned. Before Trump goes to jail. At least that's how I think. And perhaps you guys out there might feel a little differently about that. If you do, that link is right there on the page of the We. And again, if you came in through the Nathan Chapman page or other pages that I have an affiliation with, if you come over to the We, that's where it's posted at the top of my post. And you find the We by doing a search. At the top of the search bar, type in the We 123 THE 123 THEWE 123, and you will see the link there, and you can click. I'll see you in my green room, and we'll take it from there. So if you guys or women out there, ladies, feel a little differently than me, I'd love to hear your opinions because this is two-way talk. It's not just me talking from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is hopefully you participating and sharing your point of view, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I see some of you out there who are watching. Happy to have you. Happy that you're an early morning riser like myself, because I get up ready to go. I'm fired up and ready to go. I get out at a time, I talk about the McDonald's. I got the music jamming in there waiting for my McDonald's meal. So, the kind of, because when you're up, you want to stay up. I know I'm going to be up for a while, so I might as well get up and make it happen. Get up, all of you, make it happen. So if you'd like to come on the show, just click on that link, and I'd be happy to have you with you the fat, as long as you don't, violate those 3 rules, and then we'll talk for a little while. But the other thing, and there's so much happening in the world, but Trump dominates the news so much, you don't really find out about it. So I search and I say, oh, boy, what can I talk about? And so much of it is Trump related. That might be top of a book, Trump related, because you can cover so much. There's a story, the second story that's kind of big out there is what Trump is proposing to do with these DACA workers. Now, DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood. And the DACA program for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So if you had parents that came to this country illegally, but you were born in this country, and the only country of you that you know is the United States, you're kind of one of the DACA group. And they estimate that there's about 700,000 people in that position in this country. And Trump is saying that if you make all these other concessions, I'll give you DACA. You must give me the border wall. Mexico's going to pay for it. But it's going to cost $20 billion. Yeah, $20 billion. And I want you, citizens of the United States of America, working every day, paying taxes, to give me $20 billion. For what purpose? Are you going to take it and give me some national security, or we're going to get some aircraft carriers, shipping out there, state of the art? No, we're not going to do that. Are you going to take that $20 billion and you're going to put it into the fight for cancer and other diseases that are killing people at too fast a rate so we can find a cure? You're not going to do that. Are you going to clean our water supply? Are you going to make it so that the fish can continue to expand, and we're going to try to make things cleaner for all of us who all have to share this planet? Not going to do that. How about space? Are you going to expand our knowledge? People are trying to get to Mars and so on. Yeah. We're going to build a wall between the United States and Mexico. That's what we're going to do with that $20 billion. But here's the important part. My boys are going to build it. How about that? My boys going to build the wall. Because, they're giving me all this political money, and I talked about that we're going to do this infrastructure stuff, and that seems to be slowing up a little bit. I promised if I became president, we just put you all in debt to do all this major infrastructure stuff. And that's not moving as fast. So I still got to give them a little something, because I'm raising money politically, and they got to have a little something they can go after. Major developers, real estate guys, all the people related to that. So if I do this $20 billion, then they can have like a contract feast. Divide it up, yo. $20 billion. I need a few political contributions and stuff, till we get this infrastructure stuff. I have bigger money to come out there. And that's not unusual. I don't even blame that on Trump, because as a person, as you heard me say in the past, I've been in the political game a long time. I understand. People support you for a reason. I've never run for office myself. I've held appointed positions. But I know that, if as a person who has been in the political game, you say, okay, why is this person giving all of this money to an inauguration, like millions of dollars, so you can have a nice little inauguration, little party, or millions of dollars to your campaign? Why is he doing that? Because he supports good government? Yeah, that's an investment. You see, I've got this project that's coming down the road, and I want you to put some people on the appointment committees that I think will see things my way. Or B, that I straight up have this new initiative that's been blocked that I like to move forward, and it's going to come through government. And so this is kind of putting a little money out for that. And that too often is how politics works. So, what do we have? Well, I see over here, I've been, again, I get into a roll and I forget that there's some comments out there. Oh, I got Daisy saying good morning. Good morning, Daisy. Daisy is one of my social media dogs. Me and Daisy and Earl, we roll together, up in the morning and so on. And all of you who have joined us, I'm really happy that you've joined us. But we, my social media dogs here day in and day out, we're making it happen together. So the whole issue of putting something out there for your boys to feed on is not new. It's how politics work. You can sit back and say, well, why are we building this wall? Well, we want to stop drugs coming from the United States. We want to stop Mexicans from coming over the border so easily. And all this sounds much better than, hey, I need to give my boys something to feed on because they did give me a lot of money. I didn't have to use my own, what that there is. So I need to give them something so I can get reimbursed on that. That doesn't sound quite as good. So you got to vilify them, folks coming over here, and you got to vilify, and it really is terrible what we've done with drugs. I've often thought, if you're really thinking about drugs being such a problem and you got $20 billion to work with, how many people are actually in the drug industry in Mexico, or in other places that produce drugs, Peru and stuff like that? How many people are there? I mean, if there are only, if there are 320 million in the whole United States, roughly, how many people as a subset in a small country are actually in the drug business? Okay. What if instead of constructing a wall, which costs $20 billion, which, I know your real reason you want to do that. Got to take care of your boys. But what if $20 billion would go a long way in some of those poor countries to putting those guys on a program? Now, that sounds outrageous, like a social security program. Like instead, guys, of you working so hard out there in the cocaine fields and the heroin and stuff and all that stuff, what if we do this? You guys just come on back into the city, and each month you come into the city that you don't participate in the drug business. Here's X amount of dollars a month. Somehow, in my mind, as crazy as me that may sound on the surface, I don't think it'll come to $20 billion to actually dissuade those people who are the actual workers. Now, the people who are being so corrupt and making all the profits at the top, well, you get to send in the Delta Force or something, take care of them. But those people who are the actual workers who are doing it, and they're not making much money, why not just take them out of the game? Have these drug guys, they got to find some people to work all these fields and do all this stuff. Just take those people out of the game because $20 billion is a lot of money. If you think about each individual, how much of every individual could get like, a few $100 that would go a long way in that particular country, probably much more than even the drug guys are paying them. And just price them out of the market. I mean, can't we price them out of the market? Yeah, man, this is an idea. But then my boys wouldn't make any money. What do you guys think? Any thoughts out there about what Trump has proposed for the DACA workers, that he is, and plus there's lots of other things that he's talked about that he would need before he would agree to support the DACA folks staying in this country. In addition, he would want to be able to simply cut off the whole thing of how it works today, of how if you come in this country that you can bring your relatives and all that. No more of that. So you come into this country and they come to live with you, and then they start a path that says, well, no more of that. So there's lots of little things that people aren't talking about in the news, but when you read the paper, you can't really talk about it when you have this small segment on the news, all the details. You just say Trump wants the wall, but he wants more than that in order to allow these 700,000 people to stay in the country. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Democrats are willing to give up, because it almost makes it seem like Trump wants to do this. And if you don't go along with it, it's like you don't. But they don't really talk about all the other things he wants that need to be debated. Maybe that's what folks want to do. I don't know yeah, whether that should be done or not, but bring it out a little bit more. So what do you think? This is two-way talk. This is the Mornings with Nate is two-way talk format. So come on, give me a text. Give me a reaction to what you think about that particular issue. And I'm going to go on. We can come back to it. Here's something spicy. See, I'm trying to get all my Trump stuff out of the way early. And if I do that, then we can go on to some other things. Maybe you guys will feel a little bit better about coming on board and give me a little comment, coming on board and showing your face here. Some brave soul will come out there and click on that link and show his face. But it says here, the UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, is yeah, she's kind of risen to power quite quickly. And according to Politico, Politico is where that guy, I think a guy who now does Meet the Press or something like that. I think he came from Politico. He used to be an editor for Politico. But Politico is saying that Nikki Haley has moved to the top so fast as a public policy leader within the Trump administration because she had an affair with Trump. Well, who does that surprise? I don't know if it's true or not. I didn't say it. I'm just repeating what Politico said. It's right there. Just Google it. But for those of you who are familiar with any history of Nikki Haley, this is not the first time something like this has been said. When she was down in North Carolina, and she was an elected official down that way, they had that guy who was governor who disappeared for 2 weeks. And he said he was out hiking. But in fact, he's a married guy. He had gone down to South America and met this woman down in South America, and he was shacking up with her. Well, there was some conversation about him and his relationship with Nikki Haley even back then, for those of you who remember the story. And I was kind of surprised when she got elevated to this office the way she did, given some of that stuff that was happening down there in North Carolina with this congressman. And she was kind of real tight with him and the whole issue. And then she got mad with him because she thought that he didn't give her the support she needed to move up to the next level when she was, trying to do some things and when she became governor. But then since that time, they've managed to come back together and heal their wounds. But, this isn't the first time that something like this related to Nikki Haley has been in the news. So that doesn't make it true. Certainly doesn't make it true. But, she said some things about the president and some policy things and so on, and he didn't say anything about it. I'm trying to remember quite what was being said, but there was something that he was saying. Maybe it was about South Korea or something, and she came out strong, and it was something that was opposite of what he said, and nothing was done about it. Nothing was said about it. And I always thought that was strange. But who can say? I mean, I certainly, I'm not one of these people who follow that, that women can't do the same thing men do. If men, will use whatever power they have to sleep to the top, if that's what they want to do. And I'm not saying that Nikki Haley did that. I don't know. I guess Politico, they came out with it. So, and I don't think every woman that moves to the top of, being in power ought to be subject to that kind of analysis, subject to that kind of stuff. And a lot of women aren't. I would say most women aren't. The majority of the women I know in positions of power, they never hear anything about them, kind of sleeping their way to the top. But then there are some. I mean, women will be the first to tell you, and women, and you women out there can tell me, some of you all are pretty hard on women that you believe and that have slept to the top. They're very quick to point women out that they believe, the only thing she ever did is sleep, and so on. And there's so many people. I won't call names and bring stuff from the past because I'm not one. I'm certainly not perfect myself. But it's kind of interesting. I hadn't really put Trump and Haley together, but Haley's a politician. You know what that means? At least in my opinion. So you can never say never when you're dealing with a politician. So, but, and she's still kind of looking good as a potential vice president candidate, maybe even president, but certainly people are considering her possibly as a vice presidential candidate in the future. And, who's to say, whether or not that'll be the case. And I know this kind of story doesn't help you, especially if things don't work out well for Trump. The fact that this kind of thing is going on and potentially gone on in the past, and Trump's reputation doesn't help you. Will we ever look at Trump, given what we know, and say, nah, he'd never do that? I mean, they really, Trump might do many things, but he's never going to do that. Like if someone said to me, Donald Trump was snorting coke or something, I'd probably say, nah, I can't see Donald Trump doing that. That's probably not true. But would you say, given this rumor, given Donald Trump's history, that this is beyond him? I don't know, especially with that porn star stuff coming out here. And the porn star, they have her porn star's friend on. See, that's the thing about these things. When you're president of the United States and people come at you, you make others famous when you come at them. And when others come at you, they can get a little fame. But not only that, it seems like their friends get fame. It's like Trump's wife. The other day, they were interviewing a person who used to be her roommate, way before she even met Trump, that she was Ivanka Trump's roommate. And so she gets famous. And then I see the story where they're interviewing various people who know and used to know in the past various people, like this porn star. She comes out and she says about her affair with Trump. And then her friend, I don't even think they were like roommates. So it's a friend comes out and she gets famous talking about Trump and the porn star and all the rest of it. And she was on the news the other day. It's kind of an interesting time, isn't it, how they do the news. You guys have any thoughts on that? Come on, this is a two-way talk show. Happy to have you to chime in on things. Again, we invite viewer participation. Want you to come on board. And when I see you out there, I'm more than happy to kind of say I see you and talk about the issues that you might be interested in and what businesses. And there's so many of my friends, the people who have friended me and that I friended, are in such interesting businesses. And my hope, quite frankly, is that we can get some of you all who are out there in those different businesses to come on the show and talk about what you do and talk about what got you into it and how you see that as something that is a service to mankind and or why you chose that profession and so on. So there's so many of you out there that are doing interesting things that I would not have to talk about the Trump stuff so much because it's part of why we did the show, because you are the news, the people, the we are the news. We just need to kind of bring it out a little bit more than what we do. So I'm looking for those comments. Again, the way you do that is because many of you come in through different pages I'm affiliated with. If you came in through the Nathan Chapman page, then what you would want to do is up in the search bar, you type in the we, THEWE 123. So that's the we 123, and that should very easily take you to the we page. At the top of that page, at the top of the post on that page, I pinned to the top the link that you could click on and actually join the show. If you've got some strong opinions, we'd love to have you to do that. We'd love to be able to chew the fat and see what you're talking about, because this is kind of an evolution of the two-way talk format. You remember the old format where you call into a radio show and then the host would kind of talk to you for a minute about whatever they're talking about, and they still do it. I can see that I'm kind of getting a little hot under these lights. Actually, I think that tea is kind of heating me up a little bit. But under that format, that the you talk about sports and so on. These days, I used to love that. I used to love listening to what people said about various teams and various people. But these days, it's kind of more commercial than it is sports. Speaking of that, I don't know if you saw, as a sports segue, that they've chosen a new way to choose the all-star teams and play the all-star game, that Steph Curry has one team he's chosen, and LeBron James has another team that he's chosen. And that's going to be kind of interesting that those guys kind of have the power to choose these teams, and maybe it'll make it more competitive. Maybe that these guys, because they've been chosen by these superstars, will get out there and be a little bit more competitive. Because you remember in the past, these all-star games have been nothing more than you run down and make a shot, and then I'll run down and make a shot. And then we start to get serious in the fourth quarters because the winner gets a paycheck. Winning gets paid more than losing. So we start to get a little serious about who's going to win this thing. But in the interim, we'll let anybody make a shot, and we're not trying to get hurt out here because we do have to play after this. And it just had lost some of its competitive luster, the NBA All-Star game. I remember when it used to be a big thing when I was a kid to watch those players, and they really wanted to win. Magic Johnson going up against Michael Jordan, and they really competed hard. But now it's just not that way. Guys are going to get that little special all-star check. Win or lose, you play a little harder because the winning check is bigger than the losing check. And let's go back to our regular jobs. We're not trying to get hurt out here playing. So let's go back to our regular jobs after this and continue to make that huge, big money. So my hope is just that little sports segue, that this format might work. I'm glad to see the NBA is trying something to make the game a little bit more than what it used to. It's like the slam dunk contest. That used to be a huge thing. And it's come back a little bit, but it just has lost its luster. From the days in which it started, and Michael Jordan winning the contest, and Dominique Wilkins and stuff like that. For those of you who are sports buffs, speaking of sports, Tiger Woods played his first round the other day and did okay. I mean, it wasn't exceptional, wasn't great, but he got a little rust off, and people still like to see the Tiger out there on the prowl and on the golf course, and still hoping for great things, that he can show a little bit of the spark of old. And we talked a little bit about that maybe with Tiger, our expectations should not be quite what they were when he was at the top of his game, but that it's great that he's getting out there. It's great to kind of see an old timer, if one can consider the fact that he's 42 years old and that he's an old timer. He started so young, it seems like he's been playing forever. And indeed, he's been playing a long time. But he's still, fairly young man as men go. But as golfers go, he's probably, near the end. Because he certainly has suffered from any number of illnesses, related to golf, and has had all these surgeries related to golf that have definitely affected his game. But he's out there. He took a couple swings. It was kind of good to see it. It would be like Michael Jordan get back on the course and taking a few jump shots. If he got into a game, his competitive spirits might take over and he might really try to play. But, Father Time would show him that those days are probably gone. You up against these young guys, you just take a couple jumpers, ceremonial jumpers, and just, get back on that bench, get back in the audience. But they're not really thinking about doing that. Although I did see what a Worldwide Wrestling Federation is thinking about forming another football league. That's been tried a few times before. I mean, Trump was associated with New Jersey Generals for a little while, as I understand it, and attempted to buy the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. But he certainly was associated with the football team. Was it the Worldwide Football? I forget what the league was that had those teams. But now the Worldwide Federation is saying that they're going to form another league with players and so on, and to bring true football back, I guess, or something to that effect. And we'll see if that's going to happen. I'm certainly sure that there'll be some people in the smaller cities who would like to have a football team that might even participate in that. Because it seems like only the major cities now get the football teams. And there's certainly probably a place for smaller cities that like football, and the South and the West and so on, because college football, high school football is supported at such a high level. Not all those players can end up in the professional ranks, but they do develop a following while they're in high school and while they're in college. And there probably ought to be a place for those folks. If you come out of high school and you come out of college and you you still have a little football in you, but the NFL doesn't think you're up to their standards. They can't use you at the time. Then there probably will be a little place for people who still want to come and watch you. So I think the WWF has an idea there. We'll see how far it goes. Whether or not it'll ever compete directly with the NFL, I don't know about that. But if it's because in the NFL, it's kind of the best of the best. But whether or not they can form something from those folks who don't get that NFL opportunity, or at the end of their NFL career and would just like to kind of play out football in a way that's a little less intense, then maybe there's a place for a league. What do you all think about that? Would you watch it? I think I would. And there are guys that I've seen play in high school or college and seen their name called, but they didn't quite make it to the NFL. I think I'd still come and watch them and tune in, see how they're doing. And hey, we've got Phil. Always, I'm going to say this slowly. Phil Beveratos. Now I know I probably mispronounced that. Phil, what part of the world are you in today? When you came in the last time, you were over in London. So what part of the world are you in today? I'll be looking to see you answer me. And thank you for coming in. I'm always happy to see you when you pop in. One of my old MIT friends. So Phil, come on. Happy to see you. Let me know what part of the world you're in today. But I do think the WWF does have probably a potential market for that. I thought I had covered all of my Trump stories, but it seems like I have skipped one when I look over to my right. It seems like there is kind of a little issue on all of the people who are coming to D.C. and spending money at Trump's hotel. You know, Trump has a hotel in downtown Washington, D.C. And there are a lot of people who stay at the hotel, and there's that feeling that this is kind of a backdoor payoff, that, you know, you let him know, hey, Mr. Trump, and the prices of staying at the hotel is just incredible. The prices of eating at the hotel are incredible. I'm talking about, you know, you may have something small, something tiny, you know, as far as a room goes, and you may pay $1,000 for it. You know, one night, $1,000 at some small hotel. Now, it's in a decent location in downtown DC. You can walk to a number of places. I know exactly where it is, but I won't be staying there. But there are some people who feel that perhaps that elevated price, in a way, is not just a premium you pay because you like the association of saying I'm staying at the Trump Hotel, which enough said that means I'm staying in someplace very nice because that's how I go. You know, I only stay at these places and in those places that keep out the riffraff, so to speak. And $1,000 a night at a starting room will do that. You know, it's not like staying at the Red Rooster or someplace like that where you're bound to run into people. When you're paying $1,000 a night, you, for the most part, are not going to run into the regular folks because regular folks, even many who have money, are not going to pay that. Hey, we've got Nikita Chapman. She's out there. Nikita, it's great to see you. Feel free to text and let me know what's happening with you. Happy to kind of bring it in here. I think that's kind of, it's innovative because no one really has ever had a situation like that where they could kind of get a backdoor payment through things like hotels and golf courses and other things. But you can imagine how something like that could be abused so easily. People, Trump, I'm not trying to put any money in your pocket, but I got 10 guys and we're all going to stay in separate rooms at the hotel for a week. 10 guys, $1,000 each is $10,000. Staying there for a week, 7 days, that's 70,000. Maybe we'll stay 10 days and make it an even 100. Yeah, I'll be coming and going. I'm not sure I'll be in the room all the time, but I may even fly out of town and come back, but I'll make sure I'll keep the room in my name and available for me. And that's $100,000, by the way, I just spent over at your hotel. I hope you have some time to see me. Maybe, if you have a moment, I'd like to talk to you about some other things unrelated to the hotel. You can see how that could be abused so easily. And it's not as though that Daryl Chapman is watching. Daryl, it's great that you came on board. Glad to see you there. Please feel free to give a comment. Or those who are on the We page, feel free to click on that link, join the broadcast. We'd be happy to talk about any of these issues with you. But Yeah, that is kind of a cash cow. Being able to have that hotel and put all that money in it, make it very nice, and then charge these outrageous prices that, quite frankly, are more expensive than almost any other hotel that's around it. And it's just really fattening your pocket. I mean, Trump didn't give up any of these assets. He gave up, he said, the day-to-day running of them, but he didn't switch them out of his name. So if that hotel goes up in value, well, it does benefit him. And to the extent that I might want to be seen in your good graces, I don't even have to be talking to you. I just need to let a staffer know that, I'm staying at the Trump Hotel, my group. We've got folks coming in from all over the world. We're going to hold a little seminar. I know I could have held a seminar down at the convention center in D.C., but I'm going to rent one of those $20,000 convention rooms that you have at the Trump Hotel. And all my guests, we're going to expect about 50 people. We're going to stay a few days, and you can imagine how you can run the bill up. And then to maybe even invite one of the Trump people to be on your panel or bring greetings or something, some staffer out of the White House or somebody that knows him. It's so easy to abuse that. And then Trump kind of knows, hey, yeah, that's how we do it. That's how we do it. Because that indirectly, when I'm out of here, that'll be some nice money that is built up in the hotel. And I know the second I'm out of the office, I'm going to have to cut those rates. It's kind of like what's happening in New York. That Trump Tower can't really demand the rates that it once did. I guess because maybe Trump Hotel in D.C. is sucking up the money. But it's kind of interesting to me that he wasn't forced to just at least put all the stuff in a trust, transfer the stuff out of your name. But in addition, one of the things he does is he goes to his own hotel to eat. So people who want to see the president is almost like it's a tour spot now, because occasionally he may go over there and have lunch, and then everybody sees the presidential motorcade coming in, and he's all coming out of the car and everything. And it just enhances the place's value, because even if he didn't own it, the very fact that this is a place where the president of the United States occasionally speaks or occasionally eats lunch or meets would have raised the value of the place, would raise the image, the panache of the place, and therefore its worth and if it was ever sold and value for other things. So, it's kind of very interesting to me that they haven't done something about this. Apparently, there is a federal judge, though. See, this whole thing, there's a part of the Constitution that's called emoluments. And emolument says that while you're in political office, in the office of the president, so that's kind of that kind of comes from the old British royalty thing, where you're not supposed to take anything of value while you're in office, because you have the ability to help people in such a wide range. You don't want to have anything that looks like a bribe coming to you at any time. So technically, because he's president, he's not supposed to go in there and take anything of value. And what's meant by that? If I went into his office right now and I said, Mr. President, I've got the Mona Lisa or some valuable art, I'd just like to gift this to you. You don't have to do anything for me. I just want to give it to you. You're not supposed to be able to take it. No, I can't take it, because although you're saying it's a gift, there might be some strings attached. Second is, it's a bad look, and those people looking at me might look at it the wrong way, that you kind of adverse. You can't do that. But yet, even though if someone came in and said, here's $100,000, you can't take it, or something of value, emoluments, not just straight up cash. If I had a ring and I said, Mr. President, it'd be my honor to give you this ring, and know my ring is being worn by the President of the United States, you're not supposed to be able to take it. Under the emoluments clause of the Constitution. But yet, folks can go down to that DC hotel and lay down that outrageous money. And I say, $1,000 for this small room. And that's not, and that's tiny money, by the way. You can pay $50,000, $60,000 for a room, for like a suite, for a night, down at that hotel. That's not unusual. I mean, there are places in the world where you can do that. You tend to get a little bit more space. But can you imagine paying $50,000 or something like that to stay in a hotel room? I mean, even if you gave me the whole floor, it's like a big hotel, and I got the whole floor as far as I can see, and it's all mine for one night. I'm going to give you 50,000. I don't think so. But maybe if I was an Arab sheik or some type of international oil billionaire or oligarch from Russia, and I actually control countries, and I got, maybe I wouldn't think so much. 50,000, hey, no problem. Hey, can I have a room for the week? Yeah, no problem. But a lot of those type of folks, only those type of folks can really afford to stay there, and that raises a whole nother issue of why. Is it because the security system is so great, or is it because every time somebody stays there, the word gets to the right staffer, and then if you stay at that hotel, you get a little access. Maybe it doesn't even mean I'm going to do what you asked me to do, but I got a limited calendar here. I can only see so many people, even if I only see you every 15 minutes. There are only so many in a day. And of the people I'm going to prioritize, I still got to see the people that help me run the country. I still got to talk to judges and people from the House Delegate, the House of Representatives and Senate. And I still got to talk to them. I got to talk to my own staff. And then there's some time that I can run some people through here who just want to come and shake my hand and ask me to do something. And so there are only so many slots. And so if you are a guy who has put $1 million in my hotel over the year, well, maybe you get one of those top slots and work my way down. If you've done, $500,000 and so on and so forth, and I work my way down to, those people who, well, I can't see you. I can't see you. That's not enough money. So Susan Gale is out there watching. Susan, welcome to the broadcast. Feel free to text me and let me know what's going on with you, and we can talk a little bit more about that. And some of the things that I'm talking about this morning that are in the news, that are in the newspaper, give me your thoughts, because I'm kind of giving you my spin. And so much of the Trump news, and I try to get away from so much of it, but he's so dominant. And there's so many people coming from so many different angles. And maybe because I've been in the political game, as you've heard me talk about, I posted the picture yesterday for those of you broadcast. I see some new people. But yesterday, I posted the picture of myself and Stevie Wonder in the first black mayor of Baltimore. I'm coming out of Baltimore, who I was his campaign treasurer. So, I've seen it from a lot of different perspectives. I was thinking about, there's a few other past politicians I know I may just call to be on the show, and we'll just chew the political fat and see what they're thinking about some of the things that I say. But many of them still at this point can't be as candid as I am, because I've never run for office. So you couldn't give me a political contribution to expect me to do anything for you. But I have served in appointed positions. As many as you know, one of the most influential positions, at least in this state, is to be chairman of the board of regents of the University of Maryland, which I was. I was the longest standing chairman, youngest chairman, and first African American chairman in history. So, what does it take? Many of you come out of a college. What does it take to be chairman of the board one day and then chairman of the whole system of all the colleges? How do you do that? That gives me a good segue. One of the things that I'm doing right now, I'm trying to push forward on the weekends, because clearly during the week I'm doing something else, is my book, The Chapman Company Story. The Chapman Company Story kind of talks about a lot of things that happened that kind of led to our company going public, and the public offerings that we did, and how that whole process happens, and a lot of the victories and successes that we had during that time, as well as some of the walls we faced. And if you'd like to know when that book is going to come out, I have a very kind of one-page website called the ChapmanCompanyStory.com. That's with it, Chapman, CHAPMAN, company, COMPANY, story, STORY.com. And all it is a place you can put your email address in if you like. And when that book is finished, I was talking to a couple of editors last week about it. And when that book is finished, then we'll let you know what it is. And if you're still interested, you can get a copy of it. It's got a lot of great stories. One of the things about my life, I've got a lot of great stories about people that you've read about, people in history. I think I mentioned in there the first time I met Oprah. She was here in Baltimore, and she kind of got her start here before she went to Chicago. And stuff like that. So, you want me to tell a story? No, then you won't buy the book. And this, so just joking. I might tell a story. Yeah, but others that are like that, I tell stories talk about different things, how we accomplish various things that might be of interest to some of you, because so many of the people who I see who have friended me have businesses of various types. And maybe some of you had the dream, like me, of one day being able to take your company from an idea. I remember I was speaking to a buddy of mine the other day. And when I was talking about my company back when we were both much younger, I was trying to explain it to him. And he said, and the way I did it is we were in the restaurant, so I got a napkin and I kind of drew out what I was going to do and I showed it to him. And he still remembers, hey, man, you remember when you drew the napkin and so on and so forth? And it was just at that kind of idea stage of what became a public company trading on the NASDAQ, and then another company I took public, of my own, let alone the thousands of deals that I've been involved in with other people, which is why we do. We launched the other show that will happen later today, Money Masters with Nate Chapman, where I'll have various people on talking about the investment business. Because people always ask me different questions. Nate, should I invest in Bitcoin, or should I buy marijuana stocks? And I got opinions about those things, how you do them, and so on. And hopefully we can address some of that in the Money Masters show. I try to there. Occasionally I'll talk about it here as well. But for the most part, I'm going to focus the Money Master show in that. And a couple other shows we're looking that will help people in dealing with kind of that side of things, what you do with insurance and what you do with investments and stuff like that. Because for so many years, the majority of my life, I was involved in that industry. So you'll see that. But it's all a part of social media. And by the way, so many of my friends and so many people that I see friend of me, they do their own live stream kinds of things, which I really enjoy looking at. I always like to give you a thumbs up or to kind of let you know that I'm doing it. But because I do it, I know how difficult it is and all the things that can happen. If you want to do things like throw graphics on, if you want to have your logo appear. I mentioned we're stepping up our game, Lord willing, next week. And the background, depending on how things go. My weekend is always so unpredictable. It's to try to kind of get those things up and rolling. So when you come in, you'll see a different little background. Like the whole green screen thing, which we've been experimenting with really before I even started what we're doing here. Because I'm fascinated with green screen. That I've done a lot of television in my time, and I've been on CNN. I don't know how many times talking about various things, and it's so different when you're actually in the camera room, because when you're interviewed by CNN, and what happens? I'm in Baltimore right now, so what generally happens is I got to drive over to DC, and just across, just down from walking distance from the train station in DC at Union Station is the CNN headquarters. And when you go in there, what it is a room much smaller than what I'm in right now. I mean, I probably could spread my arms out and touch the walls in the CNN room. And behind me is a green screen. And then in front of you is a camera. And to your left is a monitor. And so you have the ability to see how you look on television. And so you get the earplug and your moment comes and the person's talking to you on CNN and you're going back and forth or you're answering whatever it is you're there to do. And then but every once in a while, you can't help it. You peek over to this side and you see yourself on television and you see this stuff happening behind you. Sometimes it's moving. For instance, they'll have a camera trained on Union Station, the rail station in DC, and you'll see people walking and cars going. It's kind of like you're standing in front of a window. It gives the appearance that I'm standing in front of a window, in that the window, the back to it is the Union Station, which would be extremely expensive real estate in DC. But in fact, all I'm doing is standing in front of a green screen. And so they've kind of perfected it. And it's very, very interesting how that happens. And so we're going to be taking our game up a little bit. I might be standing in front of Union Station next weekend. No, I'm joking. So Lord willing, if everything comes together sometime next week, I'm not sure it's going to be Monday, but sometime next week, Lord willing, that we'll step it up a little bit in doing that. Although I enjoy the map. The map has meaning. the me, because we formed the we.world. So it's not the we.com. Actually, .com wasn't available. We probably would have taken it. But we had to start thinking when it wasn't. And so we took .world, because that's really what we're all about. People all over the world who we want to bring into the we, bounded by, or rather changing the world together. That is kind of our byline, the we changing the world together. And we'll be changing our Facebook page and other things to reflect that. So we were stepping up our game. We're stepping up a little bit, and we'll probably be even approaching the split screen stuff a little differently, because I can't convince you all. Someone, occasionally I got a brave person, and it looks like, is my guest going to make it today? I don't know. Hey, look out here. I didn't want to make sure they're not just sitting there. Yep. Oh, well, what can I say? That's the way it is when you're a small timer. You guess kind of like see him when you see him. Yes, I'm going to be on your show. Yes, I'll be there, so on and so forth. See you when you see me. But no, we will have some guests coming on, and it won't be just me talking, although, I enjoy kind of just talking about the news and enjoy talking about things. Just to jump back into that, we spent a lot of time talking about the government shutdown and the effect that it would have on individuals. And some of you out there who work for the government actually texted in and talked about how people are kind of having a little work slowdown. There are people who reported to work, notwithstanding the fact that they didn't get paid. Some reported to work and worked, and others reported to work and did not work, just kind of was there. But whether you reported to work or didn't, it seems like you're going to get paid, because it just came out today that federal workers are going to get all of the pay that they lost from that one day, including any who might have worked overtime. And that's kind of what happened the last time. That the last time the government was shut down, it was shut down for about 16 days. And everybody who missed out getting paid got paid eventually. I shouldn't say everybody, because there are a couple of news stories that are out there that say that there are some people who never got all of what they were supposed to get. But for the most part, everyone that I know who worked in federal government got that pay caught up eventually. And since it's only one day that they've lost, that should happen pretty quickly. But it's almost like it's a game. It's just a little dance. We're going to shut the government down. And that's true. But the people who don't come in still get paid. So there are people who are very loyal, who felt like they should come in, even though they weren't getting paid. But I'm sure they came in with the knowledge that eventually they'll catch me up. I may not get it in this check, but eventually they'll catch me up, which seems like that is going to happen. And they're pushing through legislation so that will happen, because it just adversely affects so many people, especially those people who are living check to check. Can you imagine the last shutdown where the government was actually down 16 days, roughly half a month? So half your pay is gone, and you got to pay the mortgage, or you got to buy food for your children. And basically half your monthly pay is gone, and through some kind of political stuff, because the government doesn't want to agree to a budget for whatever the reason might be. And even if they catch you up, it throws you off. Maybe you bounce a few checks or things happen. Maybe you never really get fully caught up. Maybe you got some automatics coming out of your account and it causes your checks to bounce. You can always say, you should have overdraft protection, this, that, and the other. But what if you don't? What if you're a person with questionable credit, can't get that overdraft stuff, and the checks come into your account, they bounce? And the government said, we're going to give you what you lost. Well, are you going to give me the bounce check fees too? Because you made me bounce some stuff that normally I wouldn't have bounced because my paycheck would have been there. But because my paycheck wasn't there, because the government shut down, those bills came in anyway and caused it to bounce my account. Are you going to pay that? The answer to that is no, not our problem. You should have saved a little money or whatever they'll tell you. But they're not going to pay for that. And it happens. And so, but it usually happens to the poor or those who are out here who are trying to make a living, but basically living to check with a little excess. So fortunately, this time around, it wasn't 16 days. It was one. One was too many, but going forward, hopefully, because it's just kicked the can down the road another 3 weeks. They kept the government going another 3 weeks, and they're going to be back to this again. What do you all think about that? Those of you who are out there watching the show, those of you who like to come into the broadcast, again, if you came in through Nathan Chapman or other pages that I'm affiliated with, if you come over to the page called The We, and you reach that page by putting in your search bar, The We 123, and that's We with one E, WTHEWE 123, and to the search bar, and the page will pop up, The We. And at the top of the post on the page, I pinned it to the top. You know how it works for those of you who are in the social media game. If you have a personal page, you can't pin anything to the top. So it basically, anytime somebody brings content into your page, it just pushes everything down. So I tend not to post it there because you probably won't see it because praise God, I've got a lot of friends. And so when they post, it posts to my page and it pushes everything down. But on the business page, you have the ability to pin something to the top, so that even if more content comes in, it doesn't affect that thing that gets pinned to the top of your business page. So that's the difference, business page, personal page. So at the top of the We, which is a business page, is the post that contains the link that if you click on it, that you can actually join the broadcast. So kind of looking to see for just people, just in the same way that we would do things like two-way talk. People will call in. Instead of calling in, you click in and download the little app there, sign in through Facebook, and voila, I'll look over at you and I'll see your face and split the screen, bring you into the broadcast, and thousands that are out there have the ability to see your face, and we'll talk about the issues of the day or the issues affecting you. And fortunately, hopefully, you won't have a bunch of issues that are related to Trump per se. One of the things that's kind of interesting to me, there was a report that came out. It says here that Lancet Public Health Report says that early exposure to alcohol makes it more likely that early exposure to alcohol for children makes it more likely that those children will end up drinking or with drinking related illnesses. Do you agree with that? There are plenty of people that will give a child a sip of wine or a sip of beer. And they do that for various reasons, that they want to culture the taste or whatever. They don't feel that it's harmful to give a sip per se. But this report is saying that you're not doing your children any favors, that what will happen or could happen is that could lead to those children becoming drinkers themselves or in drinking related illnesses. Do you believe that? I had kind of mixed feelings about it. I certainly, growing up, there were no shortage of people who I knew who drank alcohol. And quite frankly, I remember at a small age, just seeing people, relatives, friends, everybody, beer, liquor, stuff like that. But I'm not a drinker. I certainly, and in my family, when I think about it, I don't really know that many people who are drinkers. Maybe not my generation. In my previous generation of aunts and uncles, I knew a lot of people who did drink. But in my generation, I don't know many who do. Although all of us were around liquor quite a bit. Even as a baby, sometimes it was not unheard of. Maybe today it may seem like child abuse, but it was not unheard of for a little baby to kind of crawl over and get like a little sip off the beer can. I'm fairly sure I've done that. Just thinking back in my memory when you do that, I'm trying to learn to walk and, I'm trying to get over here and looks like you got something good, and that building, come on now, here's a little bit for you, get up and walk. And you get up and you kind of make your way over there, get a little sip off the beer. And I'm fairly sure I've done that. And I had great parents. So I'm very fortunate, very blessed. I had great parents. I had older parents. And so I always had a quiet nature. My dad was like 47 when I was born. So, he was beyond a lot of things by the time I came around. He wasn't a partier or anything like that. Not that he ever was. But, when you had a son at that age, I was my only child. So you have a son at that age, it's like, oh boy, this is great. All I have is great memories of him and my mom. So, but I do think that when I was young, that I may have been one of those babies, getting a little sip off the beer can. And if I saw that these days, I would look at that and say, oh boy, I don't know about that. But back then, it didn't seem like such a big deal. Just times have changed and how we look at things have changed. And now the study says you're more likely to start to drink and have drinking related issues if as a child, your parents, give you a little wine, give you a little beer to drink. And as I said, I know other parents who certainly do that, that they, at a young age, they may have a Zinfandel or something. They'll allow the daughter to drink or something. Nothing hard. But I believe, but they're doing that for different reasons. Some believe it's cultural. Having a little drink is good for your heart, or different reasons. So, but did it make me? As an athlete, many of you've heard me talk about my life as an athlete, and as an athlete, I just did not like drinking. First of all, I've never liked the taste of it personally. I've just never liked the taste of it. Even when I go out to the clubs, I just order a Coke. I'd fake. Oh, yes, rum and Coke. It's just Coke. Because I don't like it. And maybe the Virgo in me. Oh, who we have here? Jackie Coates, Memories. Oh, okay, here we go. Let's get out here. See, it says here, yes, I remember doing that as a young child, too. My mom and my brothers... my mom would give my mom and my brothers a sip, and Jackie Coates out there saying memories. Yeah, I kind of think I did that, and I don't think anything about it. I don't think my mom was a bad mom, dad was a bad mom, and they certainly didn't say, here's a fifth and put it in my hand and put a nipple on it and say, here, slug off this. But, they did give me, a little sip. I'd crawl up, had a little beer in my hand, try to get a little sip off it. And I think just going back, I was doing it because I thought it was something good that maybe even something adult. And even then I wanted to do the grown up thing. But I never liked the taste. And then as an athlete, I didn't like the effect. The whole thing of losing control wasn't something that appealed to me. Maybe the Virgo part to being an athlete, the Virgo personality. I'm a Virgo, control freak. Why? Why do I want to lose control? I don't know why. Or there are guys I know, they go and here we go. We got another one. Daisy says, out of 5 kids, only one of us had a drinking problem. So I don't agree with the survey. It isn't generic. And I'm kind of agreeing with you, Daisy. I don't think it's generic because in my family, I'm sure all of us kind of did that. And we were all there. And then at a certain age, I think if anybody wanted a beer, it wasn't something that was ever looked down on. If somebody was a teenager, early 20s, had a drink, at a certain point you cross over to adulthood and no one kind of looked down on you. But I don't remember anybody having a drinking problem among my cousins, first cousins and so on. And I think we all kind of came up the same way. Daisy's saying it isn't genetic. Do I know of young kids, who did have drinking problems? I know of one guy, he had a real bad drinking problem, same age as me. He developed it sometime, I think in high school, he developed it. But I think that was more related to some things going on in his home, psychological issues, and some challenges that led to him becoming a drinker and wanting to escape or maybe numb his reality a little bit. But I can say, Vanessa Jeffries is watching. Well, one of my cousins. She could relate to it. One of my first cousins. This whole issue of whether or not if your parents gave you a little sip of wine or a little sip of beer, whether it caused you to have a drinking problem in the future, or is more likely to make you an alcoholic, the way the study suggests here, that says that you're not doing your kids any favors when you let them access liquor at a young age. Because quite frankly, when I saw the effect that it had on people who drank in excess, all I could think of was, I don't want to be like that. I mean, that is not how I'm going to perfect my jump shot, looking like that. Or I'm not trying to make shooting my jump shot any more difficult being half drunk doing it. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up in the city. I mean, there's plenty of liquor around and plenty of guys drinking wine. And in fact, the way it used to be in the basketball courts of the city, for those of you who, other places in Baltimore City, you'd have a basketball court and people are sitting around the fence waiting to play. I mean, there are those who sit around the fence waiting to play, and then there are those who are sitting around the fence watching those players. And some of those guys are just drinking wine, passing it back and forth. And even after the game, sometimes I'd get with some guys and we'd play ball, and we'd be playing ball hard. I mean, we start playing when the sun comes up. All we need, we're all sitting there waiting for the sun to come up so we can see the hoop. And when it comes up, we're starting to play. And we play hard. And some days it's super hot out there, and we're just shirts against the skins. Take your shirt off. You're one of the skins against the shirts. And we're playing hard. And then, after it was over, the guys were like, hey, why don't we put in and get some beer or something like that? But, that was never my thing. Even though I was around it, even though I was around them, but I didn't want to seem like I was, kind of, like a goody two shoes or something. Hey, give me, everybody put in $1. We're going to go get some beer. I said, here's my $1. Bring me a grape soda, and it got to be, it was cool. Nobody said, oh, you must drink beer. You must participate. No, okay, man. Okay. Bring your soda. Fine. That's what you want. That's what you want. And so it was no peer pressure per se. And sometimes I throw in $1, I just go. Hey, look, here's mine, but I can't stay. So I'm going. Yeah. So although I know I was around drinking, and people who did drink a lot, it never really made me want to do it. I just couldn't see it. Just the logic of it. First, I never liked the taste. If grape soda made you drunk, well, maybe that might have been a different story. But just the taste of alcohol, it just never appealed to me. So it wasn't something that but I do know people who fear it. And I do know people who have alcoholic parents, let's say, and they fear that they've got the alcoholic gene. Daisy, they do think it's kind of genetic. They think, boy, if all I need is just to get my first glass and get a taste, and I'm going to end up like my mom, or I'm going to end up like my dad, I won't be able to stop. So it's best that I don't start at all. I'm fearful. I don't want to be near alcohol, because if I ever get a taste of it, I think I have the gene. I'll end up being an alcoholic. And it was my mom or my dad. It was so terrible, so tragic. I never want to be like them. So, there are people who definitely think that way. I have friends that think that way, which is the reason why they don't drink. I have a good friend who's a pastor, and I know she thinks that way. And that she, know in certain terms. She had a mother who was an alcoholic, and she said that that just turned her against drinking and made her fearful that she could be the same, that she had somehow a gene or something that if she were able to take a sip and ever to get a taste for it, that she would not be able to stop. She would not be able to control herself. So, there are certain people who feel that way. And if there is anything like that, if you get a taste of it at a young age, maybe it'll take you down that trail of, unlike me, who I'll taste it and I'll like, boy, I don't see it. This is kind of nasty. I don't even want to develop a taste for it. Certain things, if you eat long enough or drink long enough, you develop a taste for it and you kind of feel like, okay, but this is not something that I can see. The upside, as I said, back then as an athlete, it wasn't going to make me run faster. It wasn't going to help my jump shot go through the net any better. And those who I knew who were doing it, their skills were not that great. And and then there was a whole group of guys when I grew up, and they would just sit and drink, and that kind of wasn't my group. I just didn't want to belong with that group. None of them could play sports, so that just wasn't my clique. So this report, I don't know if I agree with it per se, based on my personal experience. And if those of you like Daisy, have any thoughts on that, come on and click in and let's talk about it, because it's this report today is out there in, I think, the Washington Post is where I picked this particular story up, and talking about it, and it's in a couple of places as to whether or not if you drink if you give your kids a little sip of wine or a sip of beer at a young age, it makes them more likely to become alcoholics or to have social or have drinking related problems. I'm trying to think. My dad put it down. My dad drank for a little while, and then he just decided to put it down, just stop. He'd have a beer or something like that, but he just stopped. He had. I remember one time that he was drinking with one of my cousins, and he felt like he did something that was kind of embarrassing in front of me, like fell. And I didn't think anything of it, but he was very embarrassed. He said, "Boy, I don't want to do this in front of my son. I'm going to stop this." And he just cut it out. And I had no idea because it wasn't a big deal. I mean, hey, you fell, no big deal, But that was like it. No, I can't be like this. And so he stuck to it. And that was that. My cousins would come over and they'd bring stuff and stuff. He'd sit there with them. It took a tremendous amount of strength. My dad was a strong guy. When he decided to stop smoking, that was it. When he decided to stop drinking, that was it. Maxine Shields is out there. Another one of my cousins says she can attest to it. I'm sure she drank a few beers and sipped when we were younger. Dee Dee Grindell is watching. Dee Dee, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you. Glad to have you on board. We're talking about this whole issue of whether or not as a child, if you're, because there's a study that says if you give your child a sip of beer or a sip of wine when they're children, it makes them more likely to become alcoholics or have health-related problems, which are drinking that related to alcohol. And I'm not so sure that's the case, at least based on my personal experience and my particular family. Because although probably in a previous generation, there were more drinkers. In this generation, my first cousin, mind you, I don't really see that, per se. So Tim Polk is watching. I always like to, Tim Polk is a tremendous fixer-upper. If you've got an issue out there, Tim has his van, and outside of it says Tim Possible. I always think that's such a great turn of his name into what others might think is impossible is not, because it's Tim Possible on the side of his vans to show his clients, and he is always posting online his work, which is tremendous. His before and after stuff. I've seen Maxine Shields out there. Good morning, Maxine. Thank you very much. This whole issue of whether or not if you get a sip of wine or a sip of alcohol as a child, what do you think? Do you think it makes you more likely to become an alcoholic, or it makes you more likely to have drinking related problems per se? Because, I just don't think, maybe I'm wrong, because maybe it's just my clique and the people I run with, but I don't really know that many pure drinkers. Now, I certainly know people who drink wine and who will go to the wine store and they have a little knowledge of what wine to drink and what's good and all that. But as far as hardcore liquor drinkers, I really don't know very many. Now, I can't think of any that I know. I just know a couple of people that have a fondness for wine and have some knowledge of what wine to choose. But beyond that, nah. I really, in my generation, it makes me wonder, just how many people in this generation really are drinkers per se. Although there's certainly no shortage of places to buy liquor. I mean, every time there's any kind of little shopping area that opens up, there will always be a liquor store there. So it must be a fantastic business. And I don't know a single restaurant who is not trying to get a liquor license if they could. And certain grocery stores, as you know, that are expanding because I guess the liquor business is good and they want to add that to the products that they have that you can come in there and get. So it must be good. Must be a lot of people who buy it, and the whole of how they push it during athletic events. That you can't. It seems like you can't even enjoy an athletic event the way they made it seem, like unless you have a beer or something, and that's of course not true. But the way they do it, they got all the people laughing and how they got the big, the beers. Like beer comes with happiness, and beer comes with sports happiness, but. This report I just thought was interesting because it was very different than how I grew up. Tim, what do you think? Dee Dee, what do you think? Do you think if you give your child or a child a little sip of beer when they're younger, a little sip of wine, that is they're more likely to become alcoholics? We've got Alexander, I'm going to mispronounce it, Bałwinski. Watching. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you on board. And as Daisy says, do you think this isn't genetic, or that the people who end up having an alcoholic problem because they got a little sip of alcohol as a child, or in some way that, it's genetic, kind of set them off, set their genes off? And oftentimes, if your parent's an alcoholic, maybe you think a little differently about that. But even guys, I got one or two friends, close friends, whose parents were alcoholics, and their view of it was they just went the entire opposite way. Now, you never know. There are certain people who parents are alcoholic, they become alcoholic. And then there are other people who parents are alcoholics and they just become priests. They're just the entire opposite way of that. So I'd appreciate what your views are of this particular issue. If you think that if you gave your child a little sip of beer or a little sip of wine, they're more likely to have drinking problems. Now, with my kids, maybe because I wasn't a drinker, it never even crossed my mind to do it, even though as a child I did it. I'm sure. It's my memory. I'm absolutely sure I did it. I had a little sip of beer. Everybody's, I can just see the room. Everybody's kind of drinking, having a good time. And I'm like a little baby in diapers. And so you say, well, you can't remember back that far. Well, I kind of remember something. Right? I'm kind of waddling over there and get a little candy, like, not too much, a little sip. And, I'm like smacking my lips, trying to, figure out what the taste is. But it certainly didn't make me an alcoholic. And it certainly didn't. I just, as I said, but for me, it was athletic related because it never even crossed my mind because it wouldn't help my game. And at the time, my game was important. In fact, my game was such, I don't want to brag too much about it. My game helped me make money when I was a kid. Growing up in the city, people bet on you when you're in high school. Or when you're playing pickup games. I mean, not high school as in playing for the high school, but your high school age. What happened is you go to the basketball court, there are plenty of days. I'd ask my mom, Mom, can I have a quarter or something like that? And I'd go down to the court, and if there wasn't a game going on, there were some guys, kind of around or waiting for enough players to show up to get a game. That's, the way it would work back in Baltimore, where I'm broadcasting from, maybe for you in other parts of the country. I'd go down there and say, who wants to play for a quarter? Who wants to play me for a quarter? And they'd say, I'll play you. And my game was such that I was able to build up a little money. And quite frankly, it was so developed, back in those days, I don't know if people still do it, that I might play you for a quarter and somebody on the side might bet on me. He said, well, Nate, I got you for 50 cents, which meant that if I win, not only do I get my quarter from the guy I'm playing, but I got a quarter from the guy who bet 50 cents on me. He bets $1 on me, I get 50 cents. I got 50 cents of that. So I'm strongly incented to win the game. From my perspective, because if I can get a couple bucks now, I can walk down to the local grocery store and get me some chips and some soda or some whatever I might want to get. And that's how it was. And drinking, wasn't something that crossed my mind. It wasn't going to help me. So, and plus my game was pretty good. And then I started sprouting up, a little height and so on. So that's kind of how it was. I never really, even though I remember it, it never really affected me. So, hey, any of you, what do you think about it? Let's see here. I've got Alexis Coates, the famous Alexis Coates from Baltimore Business Review. I had a sip of alcohol as a child, and I don't like beer or alcohol until after I was 40 years old. That's interesting. So once upon a time, you also had a little sip as a child, but you never even appreciated the taste until you became a grown man. I never appreciated the taste. I'd go to clubs and, you see people ordering drinks, you're kind of standing around, you want to do something. So you come up to the bar and, I'd order the sweet drinks, trying to figure out maybe this is something I might like. It could become my drink when I go to the nightclub or something. Give me a Singapore Sling or give me a tequila sunrise or something like that. Sweet drinks, or give me some grenadine, or put it in my drink or something. You make it sweet. But even that, I just didn't like it. So I finally got to the point. See, it was hard for me at first to go to the club and give me a Coca-Cola and pay $3 for like a glass of Coke. Like that was kind of hard. But eventually I got accustomed to it. I didn't mind doing it because at least I got what I wanted. Give me a ginger ale. And, Alexis is saying, right, he didn't appreciate it until after he was 40, So at least I got what I wanted. I could sit and drink at least what I liked. And then I got to the point where I just didn't care. Give me a coffee, or something like that. I didn't have to order anything that was cool, back then. Give me some of that cacao and cream. We used to kind of say it, give me a little of that cacao and cream, kind of say it cool. And the guy come out, stuff, man, it's all sweet and stuff. I didn't really want it, but part of it, since I didn't want it, I could sip on it for a long time. Use it as a prop when you're talking and stuff, So, and that kind of was what was happening. But I did finally get to that point where I guess I felt comfortable enough to say to the bartender, man, just give me a Coke. He said, is that all? Say it all real loud so everybody can hear. Yeah, I just want a Coke. That's right. Give me ginger ale. That's all I want. You're lucky I said, don't give me a water or something like that. Give me a tall glass of water. And I paid $3 for. Why do you care? That's right. You making it seem like I gotta come in here and give me a vodka or give me some, Hennessy or something like that. I know it's, folks in here doing that. That's not me. I just want a Coca-Cola. But, trouble is, how it is with Coca-Cola. Man, I'm kind of thirsty in this club. I need something. Before the night's over, I probably have ordered $10, 10 Coca-Colas. I spent $30. A little sip of Coca-Cola at a time, just because I'm dancing around a hot club and I need something to drink. And that's kind of how it was. But my point I'm making is that even though I started off getting a little sip of liquor, as a child, it never really affected me in the sense of giving me any kind of tendencies to become an alcoholic or alcohol-related problems. But Daisy said earlier in her comments, I don't think it's genetic. It's probably other issues that lead to people, maybe being open to abusing alcohol, and maybe genetics is one. Psychological traumas that affect people at a young age. The one guy I know, I think it was psychological trauma that led him to become a drinker, per se. And then we got Tim Polk. Tim Polk just came in. Tim said, my parents didn't drink, but my uncle did. When my mother started drinking, my brother started drinking his beer as a kid. It took him 20 years later to stop drinking. Wow. Until it began to mess with his health. Then he got heavily into Christ in the church and stopped drinking. He surpassed the man over the ministry called Powerhouse Ministries in Southern Maryland. Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And you see that there's some people, as you said, your uncle might drink, and maybe he becomes your favorite uncle. You might drink with him before you know it. You're kind of becoming a drinker, kind of being like your uncle or something like that. And he, as a kid, it said it took him 20 years to stop drinking. And it had to kind of mess with his health a little bit, before he stopped drinking. Didn't stop drinking because he stopped liking the taste. He stopped drinking because maybe the doctor said, unless you do, it'll kill you. Sometimes I think that's why my father did it. Just maybe he got the word. I was too young at the time. As I said, he was 47 when I was born. So by the time I had paid attention to it, paid any conversation, it took a while. So, my thought is that, you just never know. Maybe with some people, you have a predisposition to like the taste, like the feeling it gives you, and you go on. But praise God, there are people through working in the church or counseling or other ways who develop a problem who are able to surpass the problem, and sometimes you need that recognition that it is a problem, and then you can work to surpass it. So, Tim, I'm glad that your brother was able to do that, and thank you for sharing that. I do know folks that, I knew as a child, there's one guy sticks out in my mind. I knew he was a drinker. I'll never forget it. He and I grew up, went to elementary school together. And I was in college, and he came out to a college party. And I saw him. He was just so sloppy drunk. I couldn't believe it was the same person, who I grew up with as a child. And, just thinking, why? Why? And he was just kind of sitting there. He wasn't loud or obnoxious or anything like that. He was just sitting there, drink after drink until he passed out. I'm thinking, man, we're the same age. And remind you, this is college, so I'm in my 20s. And I just thinking, what's the point? You drink till you pass out. What's the point of that? It wasn't like he jumped up and he was trying to be the life of the party or anything like that. He just kind of drank and went to sleep. And because we went back and all, I made sure he was okay and all, get him, make sure that, I think I took him to my room or something like that, let him sleep it off or something. But there are people like that. We never had a conversation about it, but I know today he's a different person. He found the strength somehow to put it down. And now he's a different person when I see him out there on Facebook and all. But did it start when he was a child? Again, got a little sip of it. As I said, I have friends who have alcoholic parents, and they're just deathly afraid. If I ever just take a sip, I'll get a taste for it and I won't be able to put it down, like my dad, like my mom, and I know people who just feel that way. So they just don't do it. And they tell you very quickly, whatever we do, it won't involve alcohol, because, I have a good life now, so on. As I said, I know the person who comes out of my mind is a pastor now and for high regard. But she will be quick to tell you that I won't take even a sip of the church liquor. Whatever we do at communion, the Christian church, I won't do that because so concerned that if I ever get a taste for it, just a slight taste, I want another one and I want another one and I will end up like my mom. And they tell you that right away. I mean, I'm sure maybe you all out there know people who are like that, who are just because of the situation of how they grew up and watching their parents become alcoholics and the whole life of an alcoholic are so fearful that they have that in them that they don't want to do it. Some people call that an addictive personality. That whatever it might be, whatever your particular addiction might be, that if you just get a taste of it, mine is power. Not just joking. Mine is money. Not joking about that one. But Tim says, as far as myself, I could never get past the taste, which works out great. Me seeing people drink until they passed out made me know that is not for me. Thank God I couldn't get past the taste of it. Tim, I am with you there 100%. I am with you. The stuff is nasty to me. I mean, every once in a while I'll taste it just to see what people are talking about. But, and they make it sound so exotic. And this is a happy thing. And, they just a little bit of a Hennessy or Old Granddaddy or some of these hard liquors. Well, I taste that stuff. Boy, I want to puke almost. I'll tell you this. My parents, my relatives, many of which are from the South. And in the South, they have this whole thing of what they do with tobacco. The thing with chewing tobacco and what we used to call in the South, and some of you are listening to me from the South, they call it dipping snuff. They have these snuff containers of ground up tobacco. And many people, especially the older group and some younger people that I knew back in the day, used to do what's called dipping snuff. And, it's a nasty habit because people will take the stuff and they'll put it under their lip and their lip will be all fat like that. And they'll be talking and all. And then every once in a while, they have to have a little can. And that can is, like an old Maxwell House can for you. The younger people today, I don't see it as a habit. Maybe something's still going on down in the South, but there'd be like a Maxwell House coffee can filled with toilet paper. And every once in a while, they'd expectorate into the can. And, I've had relatives who are from the South, some of them, including my mom, she broke the habit because she knew my father thought it was disgusting. And thank God she never did it except around her sisters. Some of my cousins around, and they could attest to it, and my aunts who did it, dipping snuff. And we'd go to the store. And Sweet Society snuff, and we'd go and we'd buy the snuff for them and stuff. And I used to wonder, how does this stuff taste? I mean, why are they doing this? And then one day, my aunt, I said, well, can I just taste it? I put my finger and put some of that stuff on my tongue. Man, it was so nasty. It was disgusting. And that's just terrible. Yuck. It's spitting. I drank. It took me like 2 days to get the taste out of my mouth. I just could never see it. And I know people chew tobacco and all that dipping stuff. Drinking liquor to me is right there with it. Drinking hard liquor is one thing. Wine's not so bad. But just drinking that hard liquor, I just can't see. I can't put enough Coca-Cola in it. I might as well, because if I was a drinker and I put so much Coca-Cola to kill a liquor, I would probably get like an 8-ounce glass, with like a tiny bit of liquor, and the rest of it's Coca-Cola, because like Tim is saying, I just never liked the taste. And I don't know if many of you who are out there as well, you kind of are in that boat. Who maybe just tried it and just simply didn't like the taste of it. That's why. And then, as I said, as I got older, it was just not. I just never minded. I'm okay. I'm not going to order anything cool. I'm not going to come up to the bar and I'll get you what you want. Now, if you want some hard liquor, if I'm at the club or something like that, it's fine with me. It's not like I'm saying because I'm this way, you have to be this way. But if you are at the club and you say, I want whatever, I'll go get it for you. Wherever we might be, a restaurant, I'll order it for you. But I might, I might order a Coke and I might order some orange juice. That's the other thing. I order a little orange juice. At least I'm getting what I want. Even if I got to pay $3, $4, whatever they charge in the club or whatever, at least I'm going to drink it. And not sit there and like, why did I do this? I got paid all this money for something I don't even want. So it's not like I can give it to anybody. Hey, man, I took a sip off this. You want the rest? It just doesn't work that way. You've just simply wasted your money. So I evolved to the point where I said I didn't mind going in there and saying, no matter what the environment, if I'm with some guys and, you see, because sometimes with business guys, some of the old timers, you go out and we're out there, there's some of my clients that are New Englanders and of the old school here in Maryland. And we go out and we get the shotguns and we are shooting skeet or trap or something. I don't know if you guys are kind of into that. And you're like, got the shotgun and we're doing this manly thing, like pull. And then the thing flies across the air. I didn't grow up doing that. I grew up in the city. We do that kind of thing, but I have evolved in my success. And so I started seeing some other stuff in a different crowd of folks I'd run with. One of my good buddies, a few of them into that kind of thing. So I said, okay, I into shoot the things. And I kind of enjoyed shooting little plates go through the air. But then afterwards, it's like, let's continue our manly thing. What are we going to do? Y'all want to go out here and like trap an animal, like kill it and eat it right there? What are we going to do? And so, no, let's get some liquor. I'll hang. I'm still hanging, but I just want some grape soda. To be honest with you, some grape soda. If anybody got any of that, and I'll go up to the bar, get a drink. What you got back there? Coke, ginger ale, whatever, Sprite. That's really all I want. And I'll buy the round or whatever. But no, man, that's just. I'll make sure you're all right. I'll be the designated driver. I'll make sure you get home and all. Your wife knows you're safe with me because I'm not going to get drunk. That's not what I'm going to do. We'll do whatever. We'll fricassee the animal. You'll go out and get him and, do him in and, cut him up and stuff and eat him and stuff. I can get with you on that, but I'm just not going to get drunk and stuff. Just not going to do it. What do you guys think? So we talked about this subject for a little while. And I think the opinion is maybe that maybe as a child that, look, I just got the news. Donald Trump is starting his speech over in Davos. I can't wait to see what happens because what's supposed to happen. When Donald Trump starts to speak, the group of the countries that he referred to as S-hole countries, they're supposed to walk out. They're going to stand up, call us an S-hole country, Haiti, Africa. We're out of here, and then go straight to the podium and CNN, do that political event, go straight to the podium and say, oh, we think it's so terrible. You call us S-hole countries and we don't want to hear what he has to say. So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to hear if that actually happened or more likely that they have paid these guys off. Guys who said, I'm going to go and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to embarrass Trump. I'm going to walk out right in the middle of a speech. I'm going to try to sit up front and I'm going to walk out. I said, we're thinking about giving you another $1 billion for your country in foreign aid. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to listen to every word. I'm going to make sure I write it down and quote it later. Basically buy these guys off. But there are probably going to be one or two, you can't buy everybody off, some nut, I shouldn't say nut, some guy, you probably could buy him off with change in your pocket, but you kind of didn't get to him in time. And he's like, okay, I'm going to get up. I'm going to run to the podium and I'm going to just have my moment in the sun. And, people never pay attention to my small country. But now because Trump is here and he, included me in the S-hole countries. And, so I think that's terrible. And so I'm going to walk out. I don't want to hear anything he has to say. I'll probably listen to it later, but not right now. And, so it's going to be interesting to see if that actually happens, because they threaten, it's kind of, it's just, as we talked about yesterday, it's all about the media. Because if you really were that upset, you probably wouldn't show up in the first place. If somebody said something, but these days politicians, they seem like they don't have any spine. And that's the one thing that I'm thankful that Trump has pointed out. These guys sit there and they act like they're the power guys and they're the elite and all. And I just like the guy, the Texas senator, the Trump called out his wife was ugly. And he called out the guy's father. They may have been involved with like the Kennedy assassination. He called out the guy personally. And then you got to go in there and kiss his hand. Man, I'm telling you, you call him, that's like, well, no, that hand kissing stuff is out. That you're going to talk about my wife? You're going to talk about my father? And you expect that I'm going to come to the White House and kiss the ring? No. But politicians do that. Politicians do it. It's almost as bad as that guy who's running for Utah, the senator ran against Obama. He comes out, and Mitt Romney, he comes out, he's all super bad. I guess he thought Trump was going to lose. He's all super bad. Trump's just a charlatan. He's his word is as good as one of his degrees or something from Trump University. He comes out all hard like that. Next thing you know, he's all up in the White House kissing the ring, kissing the hand. And when you come as hard as he did against Trump, you're supposed to stay that way. But Trump shows that these guys are just like little lapdogs. They put their tail between their legs when the power comes and the power changes, and they run up there and they just kiss the hand. And he comes out and he's big old smile. Look at how I made this guy come up here if he said all those things about me. Now he's kissing my hand. And that's like shows you the true nature of these guys. Phil, I see you're watching. Phil Viveratos. Phil, last time you called, I said you were over in London. Where are you today? And what part of the world are you in? Phil's one of my old MIT friends. So, and that's kind of the true nature. So whether or not these politicians walk out on him, I don't know, because I don't have a whole lot of faith in their strength. You may feel like, man, I didn't like what he said. I don't want to upset him, though. I might need him. Well, I don't like what he called my country, stuff, but we're going to need him down the road. We get a little federal aid. We don't want to lose that. And he can, because kind of like you can say what you want about anybody with these politicians because they're so spineless. And they don't, as Roosevelt said, he got the backbone of a banana. You call out somebody's wife like that. At least, like I said, the one politician that seemed like he was talking a little bit was Biden, Joe Biden. Joe Biden was saying, "Hey, he say something about me, well, I'll take him behind the shed and put a butt whooping on him." And I didn't hear Trump say anything. Trump didn't say, "Well, here I am. I'm right over here at the White House. You feel like you got, something in you. We used to say back in the old neighborhood, you around the world, you don't appreciate this thing. But we used to say in the old neighborhood, anytime you're feeling froggy, you can jump. You won't come over here and start something. But when Joe Biden said that, because I think Joe Biden meant it, I could see old Joe putting his dukes up, and I didn't see Trump say anything, when Biden said that. He just kind of let it go. So maybe Joe Biden has a little fight in it. And that he's not like the guy, the Texas senator, or even like Rubio. You talk about Rubio, little Rubio, and next thing you know, they all in there licking the hand and licking his paw and stuff like that. What in the world? I don't understand that. Coming from where I came from, you start talking about my wife, and I mean, heck, I'm gonna be this straight with you. Most women I know, you start talking like that, you got to fight. You got to at least take a butt whooping. You attempt to defend their honor. You just can't let that go, and still have a woman because she'll like. You'd never live that down. You talk about me like that, you let that go, But politicians, man, it's a different breed. Yeah, because I was shocked when I saw like Mitt Romney. He talked about Mitt Romney, how he was a loser and a choke artist, and then doggone Mitt Romney talked about how Trump is nothing more than a charlatan, and then next thing you know, Mitt's all at the White House taking pictures, and Trump's what is Trump's high on the steps and Mitt's down low, and then it's almost waiting for him to put his hand up like that so he can kind of kiss it. What the heck? I said maybe that's why I never ran for office, because I wouldn't do well in that world. I would not do well in that world because I don't understand it. You just talk about me like that, and I talk about you, and then I got to come over there and kowtow to you and say, just turn 180 degrees, and I just don't see it. But to me, that's one of the things that Trump has brought out, that so many of these guys, that is their spine. They're so interested in keeping this job. There's a little bit of power they have. If they weren't doing what they're doing, they probably couldn't do anything else. And so whatever they've got to do to keep that power, that's what they do. So, I mean, you guys, you tell me if you feel differently, because I know some politicians that talk a good game. There are very few politicians that I know that have, and let me take that back. I probably know a handful of politicians that I think that really have some, true balls, so to speak. And I mean balls in the generic sense, male, female, toughness, and there are a few, but they're not many. And certainly there don't seem to be many that were running for president. After Trump called them out the way he did, and they reacted the way they did, even probably the toughest one about him was the one he was trying to make was wimpy, and that was Bush to me. I mean, even Chris Christie. Did you see that scene? I mean, Chris Christie was just so terrible. He's at the Super Bowl and Dallas wins. He's ready to give the owner a high five, and the owner gives his back, and he's like ready to give the five, and the owner has turned his back, and Christie kind of put his hands in his pocket. Because these guys. In the political world, maybe that's why I wouldn't do well in it, or maybe they need a few more, stronger guys in there. Because over in Korea and places like that, I mean, they are on top of each other. They're in there fighting. So, and back in the old days, it used to be like that. Back in the old days, you take your life in your hands in Congress. You say something about one congressman or another one, we may come there the next time with a gun ready to kill you. That's how it was in the initial America. And some of the people who were our forefathers, those guys were tough. they didn't play. They were one day they're in Congress, and the next day they're out in the woods shooting, hunting game, and and what it took to be a citizen soldier, prepared to take someone else's life, and they were tough guys. In the early days of this country, and what has evolved into the professional politician today. Donald Trump, whatever you think about him, in my opinion, he showed us how weak they are and how spineless they are. And I just, and many of them are independently wealthy. So why they do what they do, I mean, some of them start off that way, but by the time they leave Congress, they're independently wealthy. Some of these guys, like this guy Menendez, if my memory serves me correctly, Menendez has a child by another senator's daughter out of wedlock. And I think this senator's daughter is a lobbyist or something like this. So she's lobbying Menendez. He's a senator. I just can't even imagine that. But that's he's, my daughter, she goes to you. I send her to you because I'm trying to help her get some business to lobby you. Next thing I know, got her up in a relationship and some secret thing. And she's got a child. But this guy's, he went through the one trial, got the mistrial. They're going to retry him, Menendez. But all that kind of stuff is going on there. And Trump, to me, has brought that out. So I started off to say I started down this road because the whole question over Davos as to whether or not some of these politicians who are part of that S-hole country universe that Trump was kind of talking about, from Haiti and Africa and all, whether these guys are truly going to walk out when he starts to speak, or have they been bought and paid for, and they're just going to sit there and quietly, clap, and, my man Trump, even though he called them out the way he did. And I, quite frankly, would not be surprised with all the talk about we're going to walk out and we're not interested in what he has to say after he did the whole S-hole S-hole country comment, that they would just sit there and look at him and smile and thank him for his comments and come up to him afterwards and say, my man, can I take a picture with you? And it would not surprise me because of the nature of these politicians. It's just terrible. We need some stronger people elected. We need some people with some backbone, some people when I shake your hand that it means, that we got a deal kind of people, and that, that I'm not going to, even if it wasn't a deal that I should have made, if I shake your hand and say it's a deal, and not just come back later, acting like, that, it's still subject to negotiation or something like that, some people. Yeah. And I kind of think that's what we had in the beginning in this country, regardless of certain beliefs, but I think that, but I don't think that's what we have right now. What do you all think? Maybe it's the same way all over the world. Phil, I know you're over at least you were over in London. I don't know if it's like that over there with the London politicians. Many of you have traveled, know politicians in other places. I know a few, and don't know them well. But it'd be interesting to see if these guys actually walk out as they have been, as they said they're going to walk out. And with Trump having so much on him, this whole thing with this porn star, saying that she's going to write a book and kind of come out with, what happened in their relationship. And now her so-called best friend is talking about what she saw with the porn star and Trump. It's just, wow. It's to me is very, very interesting. The times that we're in. Yeah. And Trump should have expected it, that they were going to go back and find people like this. Do you remember what they did with Obama? I mean, with Obama, they went back, all of his girlfriends he might have had in high school, girlfriends he had in college. They went back and spoke to him about the kind of guy he was and, and all that kind of stuff. And you can just expect that they were going to do it to you too. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe your ego was such you thought that was just something they did to the Obamas of the world. But no, they do it to everybody. They went back Bernie Sanders background. I was surprised when I saw an old picture of Bernie Sanders on the track team. That he used to be a pretty good cross country runner in his day. You wouldn't know that. Of course, looking at him today, he was a pretty good runner, but he was like a state champion kind of runner back when he was much younger. But that's what they do. They'll go into your background and talk about you. And of course, Donald Trump has he's developed the response. Fake news. I don't care, Donald, but they got this picture. You were with this Trump. They certainly do have a picture of you and the porn star together. Fake news. And that's, it's like, that's like infidelity 101. Why are you taking a picture with the person that you are playing around your wife with, who happens to be a porn star? That's like, man. Oh, is that just stupidity or ego? And now, of course, his wife did not accompany him to Davos. And she's mad about it. They say that this happened during the time that they were married, that he's had this carried on this thing with the Trump star, with the porn star. Apparently, the porn star, she's this terrible, terrible stuff. She says, well, Donald, what about your wife? And according to porn star, he's like, don't worry about that. That's okay. I got it handled. And she's coming out with all this stuff. Donald, you should call me. I help you laugh about it. Because what else can you do? What else can you do? Give me a call. We'll talk about it, stuff. I know you need somebody to just talk. He's not going to call the media, at least for a couple months. No, I'm just joking. So, all these things, any of you have some thoughts. We had some good reactions today, some very good comments, both on the subjects that we were talking about as far as the news, And I'm surprised that some of you didn't chime in on old Tiger coming back and jumping on the golf course and hitting the ball. There's so many Tiger Woods fans that are out there and hoping the best for him, that he can get beyond some of the difficulties, get beyond his surgery, to just come back to a point of just basic respectability, where, he doesn't have any issues, and that he can get out there and kind of just do a round. Because the last time, he gets out there, he can't make it through the whole tournament. He's got pains and things, and the next thing you know, he's got to withdraw from the tournament. I'm just hoping that he makes it through this one that he's going through, and then we can kind of see the beginning and the end of him in a round of golf and tournament play. So I'm hoping that that'll be the case. And he's obviously, with that pain medicine, he must be going through some things. And certainly there have been too many people that have had issues with pain, a la Prince, a la Michael Jackson, that have taken those things and they get out of hand. And you don't really know the life other people are leading. Who knew that Michael Jackson was in constant pain? Who knew the pain that Prince was suffering from that caused him to take this medication? And now with Tiger, pain medication being such that it makes him disoriented, made him disoriented that night he was arrested by the police. So many people thought it was drug related or alcohol related, and it was actually prescription drug related. And I was glad to see that, because, he had that situation where he ran into the tree, outside his home that time. And I think that was alcohol related. But now this latest episode where he was stopped by the police, that was related to prescription drugs and some things that happened to him when some drugs kind of affected him in a way that wasn't anticipated. So hopefully all that is behind him. He's ready to hit the ball. And we're ready to see some glimpses of Tiger Woods. He may not be the guy who we remember, who could just dominate everybody and was just the kind of person that was playing the kind of golf that really no one may ever duplicate. And that's not the guy we need. We just need just a ring. Maybe we can all be happy with Tiger, who comes out there and just kind of a senior guy, even at 42. That's not really that old, but kind of a senior guy on the tour to kind of add atmosphere to the place. Kind of an atmosphere guy, as opposed to someone who really is going to win the tournament. I say that, but as a person who has been highly competitive in his life, still is, it's kind of hard to turn those genes off, especially when for so long. When you put a golf club in your hand or you start doing something that those competitive juices, I want to win, I have to dominate. I'm going to win. Those kind of things kind of jump on you, and you start taking the thing a little bit more seriously than you ought to. Like that Rocky fight in one of the Rocky movies where it was supposed to be an exhibition match, but then it got serious after the Rock hit him a couple of times, and the guy hits him. Next thing you know, it's a fight. And so it's kind of like that. All it takes is a couple of guys to talk a little stuff to you, and next thing you know, you're playing for real. So, but I hope Tiger doesn't get caught up into that, because you can very easily get caught up into that. And you guys, the other night, where's Derek? Is he out there? Yeah, Derek does the show, Culturally Conscious Narrative. We did that show last night. We were here 7, 8, something like that. And so Derek, Derek will laugh when he came in. He said, "Man, I had to take my wife to the hospital." He said, "She's got the flu." My immediate response was to, throw him a few of these. We need to, wipe it down in here, because I've already been out with a cold. I missed one day, with a cold. I'm not trying to get that flu, because there is a difference between a cold and the flu. Because, and now I keep these, they're all around. I got a bunch of big bottles of these things that, you come in here, man, I'm gonna give you a squirt, and maybe I have some lotion here, because these things will dry your hands out. And so don't feel bad about it, because whatever I can do, I'm trying to do to not get the flu, because you gotta be out. You gotta be out. I probably need to develop some guest hosts and some others who come in and chew the fat with talk to you. So I'm sure I'll do that. But they're still talking. I keep getting these news flashes about Trump threatening back in June, not threatening, but actually giving instructions back in June to fire Mueller to the White House counsel. And as I was saying, I can only imagine being in the room. And Trump says to this guy back in June, I want you to go over there and I want you to fire Mueller right now. And the guy looks back at him and he says, you know what? This job's not worth going to jail for. If you want me to do that, then what I'm going to have to do is quit, because I'm not your man for that. Because if I go do that, then I'm in it. I can see now being called before Congress, being called before the FBI, being called all that stuff. And then who knows if you'll have my back. At the end of the day, I may go fire the guy and you may say I misread your instructions or something like that. So no, I'm not going to do that. And if you really want to do that, then I really would caution you against doing it, because I think it would destroy your presidency, was what the guy said. But I'm going to have to resign, because that's not how I want to be remembered by history. That is not what I want to be all involved in. It's not why I came to get this government paycheck. I don't think I'm going to do that. And so Trump had one of those eureka moments where it came to him to say, this may not be this may not be the idea that I want to move forward with. So just forget I said that. I don't think I really want to fire him right now. In fact, I never even thought seriously about it. I was just joking with you. When I said, I just want to see what you do. So if anybody ever asked you, fake news, which is what he's saying right now. He's saying that the whole thing was fake news. But for my understanding is that this thing came up because Mueller is interviewing certain of the White House staff, and they had some knowledge of this actually happening, that Trump had actually given the order to go fire Mueller to this White House counsel guy who refused and said, as opposed to that, what I'll have to do is resign. You need to give somebody else that order, because the second you want to put that one on me, I'm resigning. And it's probably a wise decision, because why? What's the upside, of you carrying out an order like that? I mean, it's not that it can't be done. Somebody I'm sure you'll find who will do it, but it will not be me. I'm still I'm only here because I'm trying to enhance my resume. I'm going to roll out of here in a little while and go work for one of these other big firms, make some money. I'd like to leave out of here on good terms with you, but no, I'm not doing that. So you can almost imagine the conversation with the guy at the time, like, Trump, sit down. Let me tell you why you shouldn't do that. And if you still want to proceed after we've had this conversation, then I'll have to resign, because I'm not going to carry out that particular order. I respect the fact you can give the order, but I'm not the one to carry it out. I will resign first, effective immediately. You've got Dino out there. Dino Giles is out there. Good to see you, Dino. Hey, are you out on the road? Dino is one of the people I'm very proud of. Dino has just gotten his own tractor trailer out there. He's gone from someone who had the dream of getting into the tractor trailer business to actually getting into the tractor trailer business as a kind of a worker, and has used that in order to get his own tractor trailer now. And who knows, before you know it, you'll probably see Dino Giles tractor trailers, maybe a fleet of them driving all over the country. But are you driving right now? Out there, Dino, let me know. I'd appreciate. What part of the country are you in? Because I know you're always traveling. So it's good to have you come on board, Dino. Thank you. It's good to see you. Good to see you through the social media. And as you can see, one of our common friends, Tim, is out there as well. So Dino has gone out now and become just a great entrepreneur in that whole freight carrying game. So happy for that to happen. Happy that you took some time to kind of listen to what we're saying. It says, good morning, Brother Nate. Well, Dino, what part of the country are you in? Are you in Maryland or are you on the road? Let me know out there. And if because I know that you're always driving, always trying to get some cargo one place or the other, and to make that happen. He's a good man. But as I said, I can only imagine being in the room and having that conversation. And quite frankly, it's a lesson to a lot of other people. I mean, within like a lower level. I mean, everybody needs their job. I shouldn't say everybody needs them, but many people do need their jobs. But there's certain things he says, yes, I'm in Maryland today. That's unusual. That's unusual. I remember Dino telling me the story of driving through West Virginia and how it would attract a trailer. I don't know how many of you have driven through West Virginia, but it's a very hilly area. I mean, tremendous hills. And when you're driving a tractor trailer, well, you really got to be, an excellent driver because some of those hills are so steep and long. When that freight starts going downhill in a wrong kind of way, you can put on your brakes and end up in a very bad way because there's very little excess or room on the sides. You can find yourself going down the mountain the wrong way. So I have great respect for those who are out there driving the tractor trailer. Because it's great when it's an easy job and you're in the city and everything's fine, but when you're out on the places like the hills of West Virginia, places of Pittsburgh, going around those curves between Maryland and Pittsburgh, that's a rough ride. I mean, it can be a scary ride if you're someone like me who's accustomed to the city, and all of a sudden you're up there in the mountains and you look over and all you see is the side. You don't see any boundaries or anything to keep you from going over. So I have great respect for those who are driving those massive tractor trailers who really sit up high and they really can see over the side. So, Dino, thank you for coming in. We are looking at a couple of issues here today, and so much of it is dealing with Trump, but there's so much just dealing with people who in their lives are just conducting their day-to-day business. I'm always interested to hear what you all are doing, just people. What are you doing today? How did you get started? I told you a little bit about how I got started this morning, how I get up early, try to be out the door. I'm up at 3:15. I'm out the door by 4:15 usually. By the time I, get myself together, lately, I've been taking my own lunch, and usually it's leftovers from the day before. I make it lunch today because by the time I get home, I just don't feel like eating a lot of stuff. Last night, my girlfriend got some Chinese food, some General Tso's chicken, and I ate a little bit of that, even though it was probably too late to eat. I probably should have passed on it, but I did eat it. And so that is today's lunch. That General Tso's chicken, the remaining General Tso's. It just so happens that I like General Tso's chicken, and I had the choice of a salad or General Tso's chicken. And I know General Tso's is not like I'm eating something really healthy or that's going to help me lose weight per se, because I think that's kind of fattening, the sauce and the sugar and all that's on it. But it was that or the salad. Hopefully the salad will still be good next week. And I'll get back on it because I do need to drop weight because, just very little time to work out or anything like that. Because I don't leave here. Like last night I was saying, we did the last show. Derek and I did the last show at 7. I left out of here a little after 8. And then by the time you get home, it's 9. And then I look at the fact that I got to get right back up at 3:15. That's only 6 hours if I just dived in bed right now. But I do want to maybe get something to eat a little bit. And the little basketball game was on. I watched a little bit of that. Probably shouldn't have. And then, here we are, back again doing my thing. I love this. I love doing what we do and love how we're evolving the show. I love the comments that are coming in from so many different people from so many different parts of the world. I'm so happy to see my friend base growing on our channel and also on my personal page. And you're going to see a lot more as we continue to develop the technology to really show you how to do live streaming in a whole lot of different ways and apply it in different ways. And we're more than, and I always offer out that, we're trying to build a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week station. And we are always looking for content and people who would like to have their own shows. Maybe you don't want to be bothered with all the stuff that goes into what we're talking about, the green screening, the lights, the sound, and all that, to do it on the level we're talking about, the graphics and, the technology investment. You just want to kind of do your thing. Give us a call. Not so much a call, but I always put out my email address. And it's funny, when you put out your email address, you never know where it's going to go. And we will be putting out probably a little phone as well, phone number, for you who want to call in instead of just coming on the broadcast. But you put out your email address and you get all these things from Russia, Nigeria, and folks trying to sell you stuff. Oh, we've got Monica Bethel Chapman. She's watching. Welcome, Monica. Good to have you on board. But you put out your email address. and you get all this stuff. And it's almost like somebody has written down your email address and like, let me share it with these other people over here who's going to send them all this bogus stuff. I take my time going through my email, like click, deleting all this stuff. And then, once a week or so, I'll go to delete the whole basket. But here it is. So if you're interested in having your own show, if you're interested in our producing you and kind of doing it the way we did Derek last night, if you look at that, it is Nate, Nate, at the we, THEWE.world. So Nate at the we.world. Send me your name and we can kind of talk about it and see what we can do to kind of get you out there. Because we do remote stuff. You don't have to be here. It's all remotely done. And we're happy to kind of talk to you about what we can do to help you to get your information out there and get your word out there. Happy to do that. So you're going to see a lot more of that from us as we continue to build content. There's some people who we're talking to right now about doing shows and other things. So you'll see other things coming in under the we. And but you'll see pages that I have influence with. You'll see that too. We got Daisy Henry. She's back. Daisy was with us earlier. I don't know if that means you're in two spots, Daisy. So she's over here, and I know she was right over there on the we. Daisy, as I said, is one of my social media dogs. She's here every day, one of my old friends here at Mr. Earl. Helping keep me straight, letting me know I'm still sending the message out there because we basically have a 3-hour show, but it's a little less than 3 hours. And why is it 3 hours as opposed to 4 hours? And we came the whole 3-hour thing because we're kind of taking this segment of the social media the way that Tom Joyner does it, let's say with radio, we do it with social media, or the way that Morning Joe Scarborough, their show and all those kinds of shows with Chris Como and CNN and Good Morning America, they kind of have this time zone of 6 to about 9. And so we're doing it with social media. We're hoping that through you that we can put stuff out there. Also, that's right. That's right. It says, Daisy has asked me also, what time does Chapman Means Business come on? When I turned in at 5:30, I never catch it. Well, Daisy, yesterday was kind of the exception to the rule. Normally, we're broadcasting Monday through Friday, but we're experimenting with time, and a lot of that is feedback. Chapman Means Business normally launches at about 5, goes from 5 to 6. Today, and I'm glad you brought that back up because I need to mention that one more time, the show that the folks wanted to see, and me talking more about investments, is going to launch. And it says, and is the we 123 or Nate Chapman? Well, what happens is, she's asked me, well, what pages do we launch on? What happens is that we launch on both. We launch on the we and we launch on Nate Chapman. But let me just make sure. I was about to talk about that other show and I'll come back to that. But we have the show that's launching today. That's an investment-oriented show that'll come on around 4:30, and that show is called Money Masters with Nate Chapman, and that's the one where I have Maceo Sloan coming on, who's the chairman of the investment committee at TIAA-CREF. Right after that, we're going to launch Chapman Means Business, and we have a guest that's coming on, but I don't want to mention too much about that because actually I had a guest for this show until about 3 o'clock this morning. And then I found out that maybe I have a guest for the show. I click over to see if they're around, but they're a West Coast person. So, getting up at 6, being on the show at 6, but they had to be ready by 3 or something so it was kind of an issue, just something to learn from, but that's how it goes. So I hate to mention some of the others. I know Maceo's going to be there, so I mentioned his name. But what the guest we may have at 5, well, you kind of see him when you see him. I don't mean that. I mean in kind of an insulting way, but sometimes you just never know because it's kind of subject to schedules, subject to things. So we'll just have to see what happens. But we have some other guests next week that are going to be pretty interesting. Daisy gave me the thumbs up because what happens, as I mentioned with the technology thing, on this side of what we have as far as technology, that technology broadcasts to the we. On this side of the technology, all that technology broadcasts to other pages that I have some influence with or affiliated with, like the Nathan Chapman page. And there have been times, of course, when everything's working and everything's going smoothly, Everything's going out. The We side, the Nathan Chapman affiliated pages, all that kind of stuff is, all the magic is happening. But then there are some times when only one side is working through, sometimes no fault of my own. I mean, because I do the same thing every day, as you know. It's but sometimes things happen with the technology that are beyond my control. I came in one day and the Nathan Chapman side wasn't working. And I was able to contact customer service, and we went back and forth. And after they determined it wasn't my fault, it was something to do with, not to get too technical, but they're what they call the DNS server. And I could kind of take that another level, but I'm going to drop it right there. But that's them. And they corrected it the next day. It worked. And then there was a problem over here, and it had to deal with the problem actually over here was more difficult because their customer service people didn't start until 9:30, which doesn't do me much good. And not when you're broadcasting 6 to 9. But it had to do with their Facebook connection. And the Facebook connection was not happening for them, for whatever kept failing. Again, nothing to do with me. But it meant that usually one side or the other, oh, Erica, you are up. Good morning. Good morning. I see you on Facebook Messenger. I don't know if you can see me. I'm almost tempted to extend the show because I know that Erica's out there. Erica, let me see. Well, I don't know if we get you. If you see that link and you want to link in real quick, at least I can introduce you. Erica is one of our West Coast guests who will be coming up. She is coming out of San Diego, I believe, one of those people affected by the difference in time. Erica is a renowned sex coach. And so, we had talked about yesterday, she might be here. But she just gave me the message there, that instant message that she is out there. If she comes in, although we're not far from ending the show, her subject is may help some folks. I'm not saying anything about anybody, whole sex coach thing, but who knows? There might be some people out there who might be interested in what Erica has to say. Say, Erica, is this a webcam? She's asking me some questions. Is this a webcam? Let me see here. Okay. I can't really get to her over here. With that, I see. Yes, okay. So she is, I was going to say shortly, yes. I was going to say that and see what happens. See what happens. Maybe we get a little guest, the last 5 minutes of the show, last 10 minutes of the show. And if you have some questions for Erica Bernoulli's renowned sex coach, you can kind of, maybe she makes it all right. But if not, then I'll try to get her another day to get her on board and to see if she can tell us a little something. Because we're coming into the witching hours. I mentioned, I started to get into the reason why we don't do a 4-hour show. We just do a 3-hour show. First is the format. We're kind of duplicating a little bit with what's happening. Actually, that wasn't a true answer. I should have given her on that particular question, but it is too late now. The instant message. Oh, no, it's not. So let's see here. I'm going to say something else. So maybe we can get her. We can get her twice. Maybe we'll get her. Okay. I'm putting out, try your cell phone. So the Facebook will pull you. They only allow you to do segments where I'm going to say it's the link. Hey, she's saying, give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going to say. And what will happen is we'll be in the midst of things. And Mr. Earl has told me about this. You can be in the midst and we're talking. Next thing you know, hook, I'm still talking. But Facebook has pulled us because we've exceeded the 3-hour max, which is the max that they give you when you're broadcasting. So it'd be nice if Erica could make it. And but her subject is one that I'm sure will take a little longer than what we have today, but maybe it's just enough time to, say hello and to introduce her, let you know I really did have a guest. And see what happens for the future. Because although I would extend the show, Facebook may feel differently and say you've gotten to the end here, and it's time for you to be over with. But she's trying. It seems to come on board. And let's see here. Let's see. I want my West Coast contact there. But we do have a number of very interesting guests and a number of very interesting subjects that are going to be covered. We want to do things that respond to you. So if there's some other people out there that you think that, not other people, but subjects, I can kind of find some people. Praise God, we are continuing to extend the number of friends that we have, both on my personal page and some on the business page, and other pages that we have some affiliation with. So we're seeing that. But we'll see if Erica doesn't make it within a fairly short period of time. We may not be able to deal with Erica today, and may have to just get back to her and let her talk, because quite frankly, when she's giving me a taste of the old sex coach business, I thought that was probably gonna be an hour of what we talk about, but that was not the case. So she's still trying to get in there. Okay. All right. So I hope that'll happen, but if it doesn't, we'll definitely try to get her back before we close out here. We certainly have enough Trump news to talk about and have beaten the Trump stuff up. But before we do that, if there is anyone out there that's got some issues that that they'd like us to go through again, send me some text. Anyone, this is a two-way talk format. I come through and I try to do certain things that kind of get you, some news of the day and my particular opinion on it based on my experience. I'm looking over to see if she could at least say hello if she makes it in. Okay. I'm not sure about that happening today. We'll give her another few minutes and talk a little bit and see if she makes it in today. There's so many subjects that there's so many businesses. We've got people who are holistic healers. We've got people who are tarot card readers. There's so many different people that are out there who are doing things that are just different. We've got people who are out there who are in the acupuncture business. I'm just thinking about all the friends, some of the occupations that I've seen of people that have friended us who have businesses big and small. And certainly there's a fair amount of people who are out there in the real estate business. I see Erica is trying to join us. Well, she's not there yet, though. She's doing something. Erica, if you can hear me, I see your name, but I don't see your face. You may have to come in through your cell phone or something. But I don't see your face yet. So I can see what happens is that when you click on that link, you go into my guest room. And so I can kind of see your name, but I don't see your face. So if I bring you on, I won't be able to hear you. Les Dance is come on. Les, how you doing? Les is one of those folks that, unlike me, has managed to keep his weight down. Les, it seems like he's always been a thin and in-shape guy. Les, glad to see you. I'm glad you watching. We have a guest that is trying to transition onto the show right now. And probably, Erica, if you are on one of the sites, you probably can hear me. Oh, she disappeared. So I'll give her another few minutes. And if she is not able to do that, we may have to bring her back another time to hear what Erica Briones, renowned sex coach, has to say about things. It'd be interesting to know if she has any thoughts on Donald Trump and his pornography. No, I wasn't even thinking about asking her that. I just popped into my head that might be something interesting to ask. But That being the case, we're coming up on the bewitching hour here in another few minutes. I could be talking, but then Facebook will give us the hook because we've reached our max, 3 hours of conversation. Les, Nate, see, thank you, my friend. Yeah, it's good to see you out there. It's good to see everybody, who's in our age group. We're at that point. We got to kind of look at each other and say who's still here. But it's great to have you out there as a friend, and great that you joined the broadcast this morning. Thank you. Really glad to have you. We're okay. We're probably going to let Erica try us another time. Erica, if you're out there and you're watching, don't worry about it. We'll try it next week. We've just built the anticipation of people who want to talk to you. Erica Briones from San Diego, renowned sex coach, and a person who I'm sure has a wealth and depth of knowledge that would help many of us, and that we probably would find interesting. And we hope to get her in as a guest, and that you'll be able to bring her in. And I'll certainly hope to contact you, Erica. I'll reach out to you, and we'll just work things out for next week. So with that, before Facebook gives us the hook, I want to thank each one of you for joining Mornings with Nate. And I invite you to come back Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And happy to have you. And I'm very pleased that you take your morning to be with me, and that we can share our views out there. So I want all of you to go out, be safe, and have a great day.